Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. Small but fierce in central Minnesota. And with me today is my good friend, Mr. Ty Beard. How are you?
I'm doing great. Fierce like a mongoose.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the show. Thanks for sharing with us earlier the swearing in ceremony for Lacey. That was
Yeah,
a nice treat. Um,
yeah.
and
It,
I thought the interview went well. You know, she didn't.
yeah, give her a little experience. She's going to be formidable in the courtroom.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think so. I think so.
um,
And I think she has. I think she has the underestimate ability of
mhm.
uh, of a of a good, pretty lawyer.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Well, one of the things we're doing, so in Smith County anyway, there is no public defender.
Mm.
Basically anybody that's got any spare time and wants to make a little extra change signs up and da 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 da. So we're going to get her signed up for misdemeanor cases and that type of thing. She may have already, she may have said that actually on the show. I don't remember. Anyway,
Yeah, she mentioned that she was going to take a pointed misdemeanor case.
yeah, yeah, and that'll get her in the courtroom, get her known by the judges, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're proud of her.
I mean, I don't approve of her working for the man, but
Well,
I do
but I
approve
am the
of.
man, so.
Well, I meant in a. Oh wait, no, she's going to take appointed defense cases. No, I fully
Yeah,
approve. Never
yeah,
mind.
yeah. No, she's not. Yeah, she's not. She won't be a prosecutor or anything.
Yeah,
So,
they do that here. They outsource misdemeanor prosecutions for the cities to private firms.
oh, that seems wrong.
Yeah, and they're sometimes those guys are bigger assholes than the actual prosecutors, which is hard
Oh, I
to
bet.
imagine.
I bet. The actual prosecutors are going to see you again.
Yeah,
Repeatedly, and so being a prick is, there will be consequences. That doesn't stop all of them, but it does
right.
help.
Yeah. Well, nothing helps these guys. They're just like that. They're just like that all the time. So, well, so I have a couple topics for the show tonight, and I figured at some point the show will just devolve into us talking about kind of everything. Um,
It usually goes that way, doesn't it?
yeah. And I was hoping in our devolution that we would get to just the ideas similar to like what we talk about on a Chad Dad show, which we need to do another one, but
Yeah.
I gotta rally the guys for it. But just this idea of being in a place of for half the country of uncertainty and just kind of talking about how you manage that, how you manage children, how you manage your own priorities, and stuff like that. So
Yeah. The Chad Dad shows, I like them because everybody kind of has their niche, right?
yeah,
Um, I'm the grumpy old bastard, Larry's the cool dad from the West Coast. Doug's the loving father. You're the young father with all the great theories.
oh yes, they're
uh,
all
yeah,
theories now.
yeah, yeah.
I'm the young
Um,
one. I've been a dad for 13 years.
that's young. That's young. My
uh,
youngest turned 19 recently.
well,
It's hard to. I think that you always know the oldest is going to grow up, right? Because they were the first. You know,
yeah,
I was not ready for the youngest to grow up. That
right.
that was that was tough.
If you send me your PO box, I'll mail you a shovel so you can start digging your grave now.
Well, not my grave. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? but uh, but yeah,
uh,
when you get it together, let me know. I'd like to do one.
Yeah, I will. I know I've been talking to Doug about doing a show, in general, but he's been kind of on a whole different kick. And then I haven't talked to Larry in forever, and I feel lost. I feel
I
lost about
interact with
Larry.
him on Facebook a fair amount. Doug, just tell Doug to remember the little people.
Yeah.
With this incredible exploding subscriber base.
Well, YouTube went ahead and put a stop to that. They gave him one of those fun channel strikes, and
What
that
was he
ground.
doing? What was he doing that?
Oh, they didn't like something he said about
Uh,
elections. And then
Ah,
they tried to give him another one over COVID because Doug had the audacity to read a medical study on a video. And they determined that that medical study was COVID disinformation.
yeah. Apparently, disinformation is anything the branch Covidian faith takes exception to.
The Branch Covidian.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
That's
that
my.
I'll give you some credit. That's pretty good. That's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
good.
That's what I call them.
So
And the double masks are like their holiest of vestments. You
yeah,
know.
right. It's like in the in the Old Testament when they talk about the robes, like that you have to have multiple masks of different materials. No same material cloths can touch.
Yes. And
um,
people will not know what other people are saying.
with that though, with the disinformation as a theme, I think we should start off with this Time magazine article. Um,
Yeah.
It has been a hot button topic around the internet right now. I did a video on it earlier today, and I'm probably going to do a full series of very methodical breakdowns, section by section, because it's a
I
long
think that'd be a
article.
good. Yeah, it is. It's longer than a lot of chapters in books,
Right.
and it's a lot to unpack. I read through it twice, and I've got kind of a surface understanding. It's very nice of the enemy to give us, the roadmap of what all they did. Um,
Yes. Yes.
you know,
That's a
the
nice thing.
arrogance, that implies is fascinating.
You said something before the show that I thought it was absolutely correct, and it's telling of where we are. Is if you had said what was in the Time magazine on Twitter a week ago, you would be banned from Twitter
Or Facebook, or
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 YouTube.
all the other social media. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, once again, we see that the social media companies are not principled in any way. It's just their side.
Yes.
Um, you
And I
know.
mean that was the thing that blew my mind. And it was funny because I played with a new feature on YouTube, or not a new feature, new to me feature on YouTube today. I did a video premiere, and it's almost like a live stream, except you have a pre-recorded video, and then
Mhm.
there's a chat, and they watch, and like you watch along with them, but you're not on
Oh,
camera live. So I'm in the chat talking to people, and it builds a show page. It's actually cool. I'm probably gonna start doing um a premiere for like a longer video, maybe once a week or something like that, if I can start working
oh
that
yeah.
out. But it gets a lot of it gets a lot of views on the video right away, which is cool because that helps push it up the algorithm. So I like that feature, but it was funny because all it shows is the title and the thumbnail, and I had a picture of Trump, going like this, and right above it it said the fix was in, right?
Boy,
And
it sure was.
and my title was how the left fixed the 2020 election. And everybody's like, "Oh man, this your channel's done. This is going to get taken down by YouTube." And I'm like, "No. No, no, no. They're happy about this cuz Time
Mhm.
has just admitted how everybody was engaged in this specific thing." And and so I was not worried about it. In fact, that video never demonetized.
Interesting.
My Kyle Rittenhouse video was demonetized right when I uploaded it. I had to appeal that. Same with the Trump impeachment video, demonetized, had to appeal that. The video from Time that covered the Time magazine article was not demonetized for a moment. They're
Well,
proud of this.
all these shitheads policies come with an expiration date, and so now all of a sudden we can start talking about it. I'll tell you what, if I were Donald Trump, I'm not saying I hope he does this. I'd start me a third party. I'd, screw the Republicans. I really would. I admire the man's self control
Just
at
the
this
other
point.
day, though, you were saying we don't want a third party.
Well, you heard me say I don't hope he does that, but I'm just saying it would piss me off so bad the degree to which Republican Queaslings were involved, and the American Chamber of Commerce. You know, anybody that writes a check to those bastards is funding the other side. Just that
Yeah.
simple. You know.
Yeah, I still have my first Chamber of Commerce dollar. I'm going to go stand outside their office and burn it. You
Yeah. You know, are the
commies!
are,
You
you know are the
communist scum!
are the local chambers of communists affiliated with Chamber of Communists?
Nailed it.
That's a Freudian slip. Are the local chambers connected to the national chamber? Have you know?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I assume that there has to be some like tenuous connection, but I mean
yeah,
it's probably like anything where the national AARP sucks, but your local AARP might be full of a bunch of Vietnam vets
yeah.
or whatever.
Well, I actually thought about joining our local chamber of commerce so that I could quit in protest. But I thought,
The Chamber of Commerce here, they had invited me to go several times when I was in Business Networking International, BNI. And
Oh, I was too.
yeah, I liked BNI. My
That
BNI
was
chapter was
interesting.
good. And I had a good time with my chapter. I didn't really like the national organization that much. And oh, this was great. Uh I was kind of looking to leave my BNI chapter because I wasn't going. The meetings were early in the morning on Wednesdays. I was kind of starting to
And they
do.
have strict attendance policies.
They do. They do.
Yeah.
And they were yelling at me about like cuz I was like 2 minutes late a couple days cuz
Oh,
I was doing this show
yeah.
and I stand with Bullet. Oh no. Uh so I
What?
this must
That's
be like an
terrible.
RGE raid or something. Um
What's an
Welcome.
RGE raid?
Raging Golden Eagle, when he gets done with his show, he usually directs the chat to come over here.
Oh, okay. Well,
So
hey guys.
I think that might be them. But oh, you stand with Bullet from Redo of Healer. No, no. Uh, but okay, so and yes, I do see the chats. They're very much appreciated. I'll get to them in just a minute. We'll go through them. So thank you guys very much for that. But I want to tell the story real quick. So it was Wednesday morning at like 8. You had to be there. And a couple Wednesdays I got there at 8:02 and they sent me a letter about like disciplinary action and stuff like that. And I'm like, I pay to be I'm like,
Uh,
I pay you to be in this. So
yeah,
if
yeah.
I'm gonna be 2 minutes later, if I'm gonna miss, then I'm gonna miss and you can deal with that. So then I was like, you know what? I'm transitioning to doing YouTube. I don't really want to take new cases. I don't need referrals. I like all these people. I'm happy to help them. They're all nice, but I don't want to be in the organization anymore. Then they made the mistake. They sent me a letter that says that I hadn't actually paid for the current year. I was like I was like 2 months late on my payment.
Well, that's convenient.
And so I went and I
Yeah,
swear,
because it's kind of pricey. At least it was down here, as I
yeah,
recall.
it's like
Yeah,
$500 a year, something like that.
yeah.
Um
They had an initiation fee of like I don't know, 1,000. I mean, 15. It was it was
oh,
it was you know.
not up here. We're in small
Yeah.
town, but they sent me this thing. They sent me notice. They're like, you didn't pay, and I read the policy, and it said if you don't renew your membership within 30 days, your seat is forfeit. And so I just sent back, looks like my seat is forfeit.
They gotta love it when lawyers join.
Yeah. So then I get a call from like the regional person, and she's like,
Oh,
"Hey, when are you gonna pay your when are you gonna pay your dues?" I said, "Well, I quit." And she's like, "Well, but your dues are still up for that session." I was like, "Huh, you haven't invoiced me." Like, "Oh." And I said, and she's like,
and
"So,"
prorate it.
she's like, "So are you gonna pay it?" I said, "Well, invoice me and we'll see." I never got an
Yeah,
invoice.
yeah, yeah.
I
They could
was
see
like,
where that was headed.
yeah.
I mean, if you had made them prorate it, it'd have been like $10 a meeting that you attended. So
Yeah. I was like, you try and bill me for something that your terms say that I didn't do. And I was like,
yeah,
plus you're complaining that I was absent too many times during this session. Stop it. Stop it.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, I joined in here in Tyler. I joined, I think, in like 2015. Well, then my mother got cancer,
mm,
and so I started missing meetings. And of course, they were like, the same thing. Of course, my mom's dying of cancer. You think I can miss a few meetings? Yeah, okay.
yeah.
But anyway, then we had other after she passed away, we had other family trauma. That was a horrible, horrible year. So I scraped it off on Carrie, let her take my seat and go. And I give her credit. She toughed it out. She went and even got a few clients out of it.
It is,
But
it really is like for a new business, it's a very good organization. Even for an established one,
yeah,
if you can benefit from referrals, it's a great network. It really is.
yeah, I agree.
I always got enough business to get more than what I put in back.
Yeah,
Every year that I was in it. So I will say that. It just for me it was like 8 a.m. I can't I'm up until
yeah,
4. I can't get up at 8. It's not happening. When I'd go to the meeting and then I would go to my office. I would lock the door and draw the shades and lay down on my couch and go to sleep. This is the
I've
worst
got a new
day.
office, and it's got a big old comfy couch in it, and I can do that very thing too. I
I'll
haven't
come
yet,
I'll
but
come sleep on your house. I'll be a
yeah,
legal
well,
hobo.
it's a
Uh,
yeah, it's a very, very comfy couch.
I mean, Greg Doucette's been doing that for years.
Yeah, well, that's what you do. That's what you do. We don't actually have any clients or business or any of that kind of
Aw.
stuff.
Uh, okay, let's do some of these
We
chats.
haven't taken any pot shots at douche in a long, long time.
No,
Actually,
I tend to forget he exists, but when
it's
you
easy
meant
to do.
when I mentioned being a transient attorney sleeping on couches, he
Mm.
somehow for some reason sprung into my head.
All the
Uh,
dots connected, and yeah,
okay, so let me read these chats and then let's do the Time Magazine discussion. I'll pull it up on screen and we can maybe just kind of look at some of the sections because I'm literally mesmerized by this article. So
yeah.
but it's great. Okay, Viden the Cold One says, "Hey Nick, hey Ty, glad to see you this time. Ty, my power died last time. Hope you're both doing well. Nick, did you get Bakamatai's gift? She worked hard on it just for you. You know this person made me a VTuber avatar where it
Oh,
turns you into
okay.
an like it uses face mapping software to turn you into an anime character. I haven't looked at it because I don't know how to actually see the file, but I have this striking suspicion it's just like a giant nose or something.
I I would bet money on that.
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Uh
I
oh
mean,
yeah.
your audience obviously holds you in high esteem, so
So Awig brought up something here. He says, since you brought up the law twats, are you going to brag about being right? Um,
I move that we adopt that new name.
the law twats.
Yeah, yeah. Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Stream, do I have a second?
Yes. Seconded by the host.
Yeah. All in favor.
I
Motion carries. Law twats. I love it.
so so the law twats, they gave you and me, which is weird because I didn't do this, you did it, but I said that,
Mm.
I said this is, the right thing to do. There's lots of eyes in the chat, by the way, so the motion is definitely carried.
Yeah.
But this is during Vic's case for the appeal. You filed the appeal document right after the initial order,
Well, yeah.
dismissing everything, and the law Twitter people came down really hard on you, and then they came down really hard on me for saying, "Well, no, according to the rules, this is
Yeah.
what you do."
It seemed crystal clear, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
you know.
But according to them, everything I ever read that was crystal clear was wrong. So anyway, which is why the appeal was going to be dismissed. And ultimately, of course, it was not dismissed. They like to pretend that they never said that, but all of them did. Uh, Literally every one of them did. So what was interesting was they said you had to wait until after the fee order came down. But it turns out that there was a TCPA case that was decided by the Second Court of Appeals in Fort Worth today, and or yesterday, I guess, because it's Thursdays, and they actually came to the opposite conclusion, saying that if one were to wait, past 20 days, even if the fee order was still outstanding, that they would actually lose their ability to appeal because it has to be within 20 days.
It says that. I mean, in plain
Yeah.
English. Um, that's interesting. Maybe they'll rule on our case pretty soon. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud. But if I were a court and I had several cases in particular area of law, I'd gang them together. You know.
Yeah. But I mean, they've been deciding TCPA cases since yours went in. I mean,
Oh, okay.
they've
I
they've
failed
had,
to
I
read
don't
this
know
stuff.
how many, but at least two or three, I think, that have come down. So, I mean, it really, it could be any day still, of course, but I find it really interesting. And you got to wonder the process they're going through. It's like, how have you not come out with this order yet? That's the
Well, I mean, who knows? Those other cases, it may be first in, first out. Who
right.
knows?
Right. And
Um,
so, but yeah, so we eagerly await that. But I think it's a good thing Awig brought up. We should take a moment to say, in the words of Razor Fist, right?
yeah.
Fuck you, I was right. Fuck you, I was right. Fuck you.
I'm just gonna second what Nick said.
No, it's that was they got so weird. They got so
Yeah.
weird on that.
Well, they weren't they weren't practicing law. They were just simply making shit up. And so
Bad Vibes says, geez, Ty, you think everyone can watch at 5 p.m., the busiest part of my day? It's almost like you didn't want me to super chat Lacey and have her harass the gruff old man playing cowboys and Tau missiles in his office.
well, we had to balance a lot of different equities. Her parents came,
Right. Yeah.
and of course a good chunk of the staff wanted to be there too. So it was kind of like I really wasn't going to make them stay up till 11 o'clock.
It was amazing how quiet everyone was during the ceremony because,
Yeah.
when we were getting everything ready, I was like, oh God, this is going to be a disaster. They've got the baby. I could hear everything going on in the
Yeah.
office. But then once the ceremony started, it was very quiet. And then you guys must have all migrated into a different room for
Hmm.
the interview because I was like, there's
I
no way people
Yeah.
are
I
still
ran
here.
everybody out because I had in another room we had the stream up so they could all see because with the earbuds in they couldn't hear what you were saying to Lacey. All they could hear were her answers.
Oh
So I said,
God.
"Yeah, yeah.
If I would have known that you guys would have been sitting there watching, I would have said way different stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah." We did. It was pretty funny.
How'd her
But,
parents take it? Do they hate me?
no, no, they actually they thought it was funny. I mean, they weren't aware of how this stuff works,
Right.
So a little bit, but no, they actually enjoyed it.
Well, that's good. Well,
It's weird. It's weird when your parents see you, you know, doing your professional thing, right? And
yeah.
although Lacey wasn't in court, she was, once she settled in, she I don't think I heard a single
No, no.
I mean, she was, and so when that first time when your parents see you actually doing your job, sort of, it's always interesting. But
It's
yeah,
it's
so
almost
we
like
had to,
she's got a, master's degree in communications.
yeah, yeah. So she's right about that. What got her the job? I knew her dad, and so that got her the interview. But what got her the job was we were talking, and I said, "Tell me about this master's in communication. What does that mean?" And she started breaking that stuff down, and it was Zootopia was the movie that she gave me an example of all this. And I'm sitting there going, "Huh, that sounds actually plausible." And so we gave her the internship based on that interview, and so yeah, yeah, I think she's going to be a very good lawyer. Um,
Yeah, I think
very.
I think she'll be great. Looking forward to seeing some of her escapades play out. Okay, Bad Vibe says, okay, Boomer, you can count the holes in your eyelids later. You got 5 minutes. Get your drink ready and let's get this show started. That was still before the show. Uh,
Where's the
Kosk,
love?
I don't know. I was
There is no
so
love.
I was so tired last night. I didn't do a YouTube show yesterday. I didn't do any videos. I didn't do a YouTube show. And I was gonna do a Twitch show. I even announced like I'll probably be on Twitch around midnight or 1. and I was up in bed with Lady Rackets. She was watching Star Trek, and I was just sitting there on my phone, and then I woke up and it was like 4 in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, oh
Yeah, I've been going since 4:30 this morning, so I don't know how long I'll last.
yeah.
But
Well, we don't have to go. I have to be at a men's conference at 8 in the morning tomorrow.
oh, there you go. Nut up,
So
man.
it's uh uh every year Lady Rackets' grandpa invites me and all of the other male either siblings or in-laws or whatever to go, cousins, any of his descendants or their others, right? But
Yeah.
all the men, he invites us all and he pays for everybody to go. And so look, I learned that when your wife's grandfather invites you to something, you go
You
to
go.
it if
Oh, yeah.
if at all possible. And I missed 1 year because I think I had a law school exam or something ridiculous. That's the only time I've missed. But
Yeah, yeah, you don't wanna intentionally miss one of those, that's just a rookie mistake,
yeah,
you know, because it's lots of good press if you do it, and it's lots of bad press if you don't.
right,
So it's a very
right.
it's a very binary kinda deal.
It's also
Um,
a decent conference. It's a Christian conference called No Regrets, and they do have pretty good speakers and stuff like that. So, I
I don't think I've been to a Christian one, but I've been to way back in the day, I consumed self-help books and tapes and stuff because it's a great way to, stay fired up. And I went to several of those in Dallas, conferences in Dallas, and they had good speakers. Zig Ziglar was the main guy, but Jim Lovell, the astronaut, spoke at one of them. He was good. Can't remember some of the others. Man, it was yeah. Those, especially if somebody else is paying.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
this one
that's
I this one I don't think is super expensive because it's remote. So it's hosted out of like Wisconsin or some mega church somewhere, and then it's remote broadcast. But there's a small fee. But
so. Are y'all going to get together,
yeah, we get together at the local church. Um,
and then watch the broadcast?
yeah,
Or
well they have different breakout sessions, and they do have local speakers as well.
so none of
Uh,
this faking participation is kind of
oh
what I was getting
no, no, you're in
at.
it.
Yep.
I'm going to bring cocaine and methamphetamines to make sure I'm like alert.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
good. Yes, yes, yes. Tell me more.
Yes.
I'm in the Bible. That's what I need. Okay. Kosk says it's been a while. Have some money. Hey, thank you, Kosk. That was a huge super
I
chat,
saw I saw that super chat. Yeah, very generous.
and very appreciative to have you around. Glad
I'm
you're
not
glad
sure
you're
Nick
back.
deserves it, but anyway,
Look,
it's very gracious.
I'm going to a Christian men's conference tomorrow. I will be hearing about how much I don't deserve the entire time.
That's true. It's sort of piling on at some point, isn't it?
Yeah. Uh, let's see. Music and Fiction says, "Good evening, counselors. In celebration of not being grape aped by the state of Oregon's taxes, here's some cabbage. Get Ty some gochujang, and he can make kimchi out of it. To Ty, have you ever listened to the works of Chris Rea, especially
Mm,
Texas?"
no. Should I?
I have no idea who that is. I've never heard of it.
Okay.
I don't know if
No,
it's
it doesn't
music
strike me
or
as
a book or what. I assume
yeah.
music.
Sorry, yeah.
Not Chris Ray Gun. Stop it. Bad Vibe says no disclaimer on the time video. No. They didn't put anything on it. It's literally a video about how they fixed an election. It's a video about it, and their YouTube's fine with it because it's sourced because they admitted it, and there's nothing to hide anymore. They
Yeah.
have they have
Yeah.
taken power.
And so once again, the president says something and everybody goes, "Oh, he's just crazy and idiot." And then, a month or two later, you find out he was right. Um, that seemed to happen scores of times during his administration.
Yeah. That was, and I was having a tough discussion about Trump with someone I loved yesterday. It was a good discussion, but it was really kind of getting into the mind of of someone who didn't support him, even though they didn't support Biden either, but they didn't support Trump and why and stuff like that. And I mean, it was frustrating to some extent because it's like these
Well,
are
it's childish. I mean, it really is. It's childish. It's tantrum throwing. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, no idea who you're talking about, but I mean, the whole never Trumper thing. You know, Trump governed as the most conservative president in my lifetime. Even including Ronaldus Magnus. Um, and the first time around, I can understand anybody the first time around going, I don't know about that guy. But 4 years later, you're still bitching and whining about mean tweets. You're just a child. Um, you
Yeah,
know,
so that was it was interesting, but the so then we got to talking about conspiracy theory and how people get into conspiracy theory. And I was like, well, here's an interesting thing about Trump, Sidney Powell, Michael Flynn. Whatever you think about any of these people, right? Just on the sole question of how they can buy into a quote unquote conspiracy theory. Well, Trump was literally the victim of a conspiracy theory
mhm,
involving Carter
mhm. No,
Page,
seriously.
where
Yeah.
where the federal government lied about one of his associates for the purpose of issuing what should have been an illegal wiretap. Like,
Well, the whole Mueller fiasco.
right, and
You know.
but that all stemmed from the Carter Page, which
Yeah,
which
and
all stemmed from the lie of one FBI agent. Uh,
yeah, the FBI attempted to overturn an election. Just that simple.
yeah,
Um, in a just world, that entire organization would be shut down and their people would be fired. Um,
that guy
you
was
know,
prosecuted and convicted and got no jail time.
nothing, nothing. Lied
Zero.
to a FISA court. Lied to a court. You or I did that, we would be disbarred and imprisoned.
The recommended
Uh,
first offender sentence for that is 6 months.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
recommended first offender sentence is 6 months. Uh,
The deep state looked after its own.
by the way, in
And
Minnesota, you
um,
can steal $50,000 worth of stuff from someone, and the recommended first offender sentence is to be at home with a stay of adjudication, where if you don't steal anything for a year, you will never go to prison, and it will be expunged from your record. So, like,
so you could steal $50,000 a year?
no, 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 just
Woohoo! Oh,
no. That's
just one time.
your first offense.
Okay.
Your
Okay.
second
Yeah.
offense. Well, actually, in theory, since it's dismissed, but
Yeah.
the judge would probably use
You'd probably look at
discretion.
the record.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's it's like the fact that that guy got nothing is crazy. But yeah, and then of course Michael Flynn, who's represented by Sidney Powell, was again the victim of overt government pressure and a conspiracy.
Yeah.
And
It's not hard to believe in conspiracies when in fact you are the victim of multiple conspiracies.
right.
You know.
And so after this
Um,
discussion, we go through it, uh, and then this Time article pops up, right? And I texted it to the person. I said, "Well, if you want to know why Trump might believe that he was the victim of a particular conspiracy surrounding the election, this Time article lays out that that literally happened." And
yeah, and
this is from Time magazine. This isn't from Newsmax or like OANN or even Fox or anything like that. Fox was in on it. That was the other
yes,
thing. Fox
yes.
News is
Well, you recall what I was saying last time I was on your show.
yeah.
We have to we have to destroy or neutralize the traitors before we can even think about taking the Democrats on.
Yeah.
Because we're never going to win if we don't shut them down. Now, the good news is there are a whole lot fewer rhinos now than there were 4 years ago. Um, you
Yeah.
know, a
And
lot of them have been culled, but there's plenty of
the
work to be done.
the other lesson I think is that's really important from this article is I can pull it up on screen, guys. I actually have it. Oh.
Yeah, one of them mentioned in the chat too. Did you see that Fox fired Lou Dobbs today?
Oh, did they?
Yeah, apparently they're just going to try to compete head on with CNN and MSNBC.
Look, it's a race to the bottom.
Fox is dead to me.
Yeah.
anytime somebody puts something on Facebook that I see that deals with Fox, I just type Fox delenda est. Fox must be destroyed. Um,
So here's the article's up on stream now. But one of the things that I think this is a real takeaway. And again, this is relevant no matter what you think happened in the election or what you think about 2020. Looking forward to 2024, the Republicans made a critical error in 2020, and that was the left organized, ground up, left to right. They got everybody they could on board. The right relied
And they
in
cheated.
well,
Shutting cities down for 5 hours. But yeah,
that that aside,
yeah.
the what the right did was they tried to rely entirely and inherently on Trump's charisma alone. And he's a charismatic guy and he almost won. Like
Mhm.
that's the good news out of this article is that
Yeah,
despite all of this, they barely won.
right.
And but if the Republicans could just get organized, and part of this is the fact that the Republicans were a bunch of pussies, and I don't want to be associated with Trump, and so because of that, they wouldn't actually band together. But with cohesion and a plan going into this, they actually very likely could have still pulled it off.
Don't you know the Chamber of Commerce loved the writers of that article throwing them under the bus?
Oh yeah, too bad.
And you see, rhinos, that right there is the critical thing, right? Nobody likes a traitor. They may use them, but they don't like them. And you will never be liberal enough to
No.
be accepted in the warm embrace of the left.
Well, how
That
long
that
did it
you
take
know,
for how long did it take for Lincoln Project's co-founder to be outed as a kid diddler?
hmm
Eh,
hmm
Lincoln Project, by the way, people knew. They all
Of
knew.
course they did.
They
Of
just
course they did.
waited until you were no longer useful to them.
Yeah, have you noticed just the strong pedo vibe that comes off of liberal males in general? I'm serious. I've started paying attention to that, and it's there's just a creepy vibe,
Yeah.
and you know, but yeah, of course they knew, and Benedict Arnold, one of he was a genuine war hero, which separates him from John Kerry, but uh, he was very disillusioned at how the British treated him once they had used him because they don't trust traitors either. Um, and
Yeah, it's
so,
it's
yeah,
amazing how that works when you go,
and
wait,
and
if you're willing to betray your your own countrymen to me, you'll sell me out in a minute.
oh, in a heartbeat. It's so yeah, and of course, what I want to know from the Republican Party is why are we still talking to the Chamber of Commerce? Because if any of our leaders are doing anything for those jackasses, you know, they need to get the whips in there and break them up because they're literally on the other side.
Yeah.
You might as well be taking lobbying from AOC at this point. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. When I was reading, I was like, "Ooh, I bet they're not happy about this."
Well, they should be very
But of
proud of
course,
their work. And so
yeah,
they should
yeah.
have been they should have announced it.
The
Uh
triumphant tone of that article. Did you notice that?
oh yeah.
It was all styled as how we colluded to save the election. I'm going. This let's see. We got big business. We've got dark money. We've got traitors in our own party. We've got.
We've
This
got
doesn't sound like a healthy part of democracy to me.
literal dinner meetings with the heads of the heads of the largest social media organizations on earth to
To
organize.
collude.
Yeah, to collude and to
Well,
organize a specific editorializing of one side of the issue and to control the narrative through threats of banning and removal
yeah,
through the inauguration. It's
which is exactly
amazing.
what they did. I mean, you look back and you go, "Oh, there they are. They're all the Hunter Biden story that they quashed. I mean, instantly, and it was, of course, completely across the board. You know, so you know, like I said to you when we talked earlier, I'll take an arrogant opponent any day. And one thing about it is our enemies are arrogant. You know, they're acting like they've got like a 2/3 majority in both houses of Congress,
Hmm.
and that Biden won, a Reagan Mondale style victory. And it's like, guys, y'all have a bare majority. Um, I can, or hopefully we'll get to the House bill on gun control too. Can't wait to see Joe Manchin hear from his constituents
Here,
about that.
how about this? Thomas Donahue leaving
All right.
CEO post at U.
Halting
Whoops, hold
the
on.
Keystone.
Stupid Fox. Thomas Donahue leaving CEO post at U.S. Chamber of Commerce 4 hours ago. Reported 4 hours
Not good
ago.
enough. Chamber of Commerce delenda est. It's not salvageable. Oh yeah, I mean, I can't imagine the blowback at the local level.
Yeah,
Because small business owners are gonna hew very very strongly to the right. That's
and
just the nature of the
especially small
beast.
business owners at the Chamber of Commerce.
Oh
It's
yeah,
it's been a traditionally Republican organization forever. That's the thing. The people I know at my Chamber of Commerce would be farther to the right than me. The
yeah,
majority of
yeah.
them.
That,
Um,
yeah, small business owners just don't. And Trump was incredibly popular with business owners. He was
yeah.
popular with them in 2016. They absolutely adore him because he's one of their own, right? A businessman can identify another businessman. And one of the things that the swamp never figured out about Trump was that he governed like a businessman. You know, so yeah, I mean the in one fell swoop, the left destroyed the Chamber of Commerce after using them, like a tampon. I mean, it's quite interesting. But yeah, you know, the Republican Party needs to go to work. Um, we'll
Yeah,
see if they do.
they
And I
do.
know that you're not optimistic, and I wish I were, but I'm not.
Well, we'll see. I mean, there is time for them to do it. On your third party sort of notions, I think I think there is a middle ground. I think there is
Yeah.
a third party that doesn't destroy the election, and that is, I mean, there are models of this in women's suffrage and other things where you have a political party that exerts political pressure and always has the threat of splitting votes off of the party,
Well,
but
that's
they
what Trump.
they
That's
don't
what
run
Trump's done.
candidates. Yeah,
I mean, of course, I was basking in the glow, but right after I was on your show, Trump came out the following week or so and said, "No, I'm not going to start a third party. I'm just going to take down the rhinos." And I'm going, "Yes." you know, what I was saying earlier is that would I admire the man's control because that would infuriate me so bad. I would be more interested in avenging myself upon the traitors. And I'm sorry, the entire establishment Republicans are traitors. It'll be interesting to see the blowout on this because it's not like the establishment is particularly beloved anyway
no,
by the base. But no, like I said, I've been tempted to join the Chamber of Commerce just so I could go raise hell and quit them.
that's the
you know?
that's actually the worst part about the timing of all this is that Mitch McConnell just won re-election in this campaign. So
Yeah.
he like skirted in, riding Trump's coattails, basically stabs him in the eye, and then he's going to have 6 years of damage control. As
Yeah, that
as
shithead Ben Sass is the same way.
yeah,
But I still think if you'll just shut their phone system down for a week yelling at them, I think that'll have a certain amount of effect. Because what you're trying to do is demoralize their staff as much as anything else.
right.
And nobody likes being yelled at, particularly when the people yelling at you, have a point. And of course, these staffs tend to be, millennials, and they don't take abuse very easily, very well. But yeah, I mean, we take them down as they come. That
John, I
idiot
would
in Alaska.
aside from just the very fact that I would never drop down to working on phone staff for a congressman, I would be so good at getting yelled at. They're like they're
Right
screaming at
until
me.
the congressman walked into your office and heard what you were saying to the
I
constituents.
would say I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Like I said, it would be glorious until, the congressman walked in and said, Ricada, you do know that we're trying to get reelected, don't you?
yeah, yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah, the Republican electorate is in no mood to be sweet talked, you know. And of course, God almighty, They saved Liz Cheney, the dumbest woman in Congress who is not AOC.
Yeah.
A woman that only 10% of Republicans say they'll vote for. I
I don't
mean,
know. Like that's a weird. I mean, I know what McCarthy's trying to do, and he is appealing to some people, but it's like, uh, but no one wants to protect or should be protecting Liz Cheney. Like
no, no,
no one should
she's a
be.
walking nosebleed for the party. And and of course selling out Marjorie Greene. Here's the bottom line. Marjorie Greene may be a kook, but she's no kookier than at least a dozen Democrats I can name. And
Well,
if and when we
AOC
get
you
the House
already
back,
named.
yeah, absolutely. The whole squad are a bunch of crazy, shrieking
Whoa, whoa,
airheads.
whoa! They are not the squad. Those are people. Did you see
Uh,
that?
in the most technical sense of the word, I suppose you're right.
Did you see that though?
No.
Okay, so
I don't.
they had their crying powwow about the
Oh yeah,
Capitol
and it turned
riots.
out that basically none of them were.
Well, there was that, but so they had their crying powwow about the riots where they're like where AOC wasn't in the building. Rashida Tlaib wasn't even like in DC, and she recalled the time that someone her first day of Congress when she got a death threat. I'm like, what does this have to do with the Capitol riots? Like you're like, oh wait, I have to have a story too. You're that kid.
Oh yeah, well we've seen that with lefties across the board, right? Stolen valor, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um,
So they do all this. Well, then the one guy comes out and he has his little conniption and he brings up a picture of Marjorie Taylor Greene holding an AR. And this is some meme someone made. And in the background are the members of the squad. And so the idea is pretty obvious. Like, right, Marjorie Taylor Greene believes in the Second Amendment, blah, 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 blah. The squad is terrified of her. And he's like making it into like a terroristic threat. Like she's going to shoot the squad with her AR.
oh
And
yeah.
and it's like
Hey,
and he's like the
go ahead.
so he's like, it says they're the squad. They're not the squad. These are brave people standing up. These aren't the squad is so inhuman. And it's like they call themselves the squad, you old moron.
Oh
God,
well, yeah.
it was awful.
Well, and that's what we're up against, right? We're up against people with the intellectual capacity of 5-year-olds with serious mental problems, serious emotional problems. So I think we can beat them. Now we got to fight smart, but I think we can beat them.
Yeah,
But
they didn't win the election, by the way. That's
no,
that's something
no.
really important about the Time article too that I haven't even really explored or talked about. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and all of Congress wasn't involved in this. I mean, they were brought in for like changing laws and stuff like that, changing rules, but there was no campaign apparatus involved in the real.
Well, no, they weren't allowed to. The finance rules, among other things.
Yeah.
Plus, they'd leak like a sieve. I mean, the thing about this operation that I have to give them credit for was the amount of operational security that they were able to pull this off without some shithead somewhere, leaking it or bragging about it while they're drunk or something like that. So I give them perps for that. But well, I mean, we've got the roadmap. We know what they did. Here's some statistics that are interesting, by the way.
Okay.
So the Democratic margin in the House is now down to 5 seats. Well, guess what? Red states are going to pick up 5 seats in the House. So we may take the House back just on sheer demographics. Texas is scheduled to get 3, and I forgot that Florida's going to get 1, and I
Yeah.
think South Carolina may be the other one.
I
Um,
covered that in an article when it was someone was putting it together right after the election, and they were like, the real danger is that Republicans in these states are going to be and the redistricting laws that favor the Republican legislatures in the
yep,
states,
yeah, yeah.
where the governors don't have veto power or anything like that.
There's I forgot, is it one of the states that's picking up a representative. The governor can't veto the redistricting, which is yeah. I mean, the thing is, they took Trump down, but they got shellacked at every other level. which of course is strong circumstantial evidence right there that something ain't right. Um, and so it. By the way, we got some shithead in the chat that hates my guts. Nate Hodges. Hey Nate, you know, knock yourself out, dumbass. I just,
Uh,
I mean,
yeah. Yeah, he's been voicing concerns.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I'll put it diplomatically. He's
I'm
been voicing concerns.
Yeah, yeah, I'm real worried what some random crank on the internet thinks about, well, anything.
Uh,
But anyway,
okay.
but yeah, and it's not a conspiracy theory anymore because they just admitted it, dumbass. You know?
Yeah, that's the thing. Again, whatever you think about the voting and all that stuff, I said before, and it's reinforced and amplified.
I'm sorry, Meow Day. I hate you too, Tiberius. Use the Steam key. Meow Day, I've already asked you this. Why do you make me wound you? It will, in the fullness of time, I will use the Steam key. I promise.
So when I said it before, and I said that the real theft of this election happened by big tech, big media. Like
Mhm.
that was it. Whatever else you want to think about what happened, all that stuff might have happened, might not have happened. It might not have needed to, or if it did need to, this got them close enough for it to work. That's the other thing. So, the big tech, big media stole it. And then this Time article comes out and it literally shows you that this election was engineered
Mhm.
from beginning
Yeah,
to end.
and I mean, all the people that got outed in this article, they can't be happy about this. I mean,
Well, it
as
was
triumphant as the tone is, you know,
this is
what was it?
here's the telling
Yeah.
line from it. It was where was it? Hold on.
By the way, somebody in the stream had a good line. Don't feed the boomers, trolls.
So that's
Oh
why the
goodness.
participants want the secret history of the 2020 election told. Some participants. Some
Yeah, I don't think
participants.
all of them.
Yeah. It was a secret history for a reason. This was supposed to remain under radar, under wraps. But I love this paragraph, even though it sounds like a paranoid fever dream. A well-funded cabal of powerful people ranging across
Yeah.
industries and ideologies working
When you're
together behind the scenes to influence perceptions, change rules and laws, steer media coverage, and control the flow of information.
it's like,
Ah!
yeah. No, I think this is a big record scratch, and it is going to piss off Trump supporters something ferocious. I mean, it's inevitable. The people, but let's not forget the true victims of this story. I mean, the ones who are going to suffer the most, and that's going to be your establishment Republicans, because the base already has had about all of their shit they want to, that they can take. This can't help.
Yeah.
So and like I said, again, I applaud Trump for not doing this, but Lord knows it would be totally understandable if he said, you know what, the Republicans, I'm starting a third party, and we'll just see how it falls out.
See, I disagree. I have to
You
disagree.
know,
And here's why I disagree, because Mitt Romney just became my favorite politician.
mm,
Did you see Mitt
okay, this I
Romney's
got to hear.
Mitt Romney's got a proposal. Look, I'm a lawyer. I'm a mercenary for hire here.
Oh,
And
sure, yeah.
and Mitt
If,
has
if he
the
if he pay me a retainer, I'd be a big fan of his,
well,
as
he's
long
about to
as a
pay me
retainer.
he's his proposal is paying me 15 grand a year in retainer fees.
What
Yeah, the
is he now
the
signing on to that? To that?
money for kids, money for parents of kids.
Oh,
If
yeah,
you it's $350 a month per kid, up to 15 grand a year. So it's like $13.50 a month in free money. And guess at what income level it phases out?
uh,
For a joint couple, $400,000. So like almost everybody is
yeah.
supposed to get up to 15 grand a year. I'm like, you
Well,
bought me. Mitt
you know
Romney,
what?
Romney 2024.
Yeah,
Romney.
well, okay, let's take it down a notch. I'm gonna have to get used to that notion. But the thing is, I'll say this, you know, across the board, one of the interesting demographic facts that are out there is liberals don't have as many kids.
Yeah,
That's one reason why they're desperate to, open the floodgates on the border. Well, Romney is basically paying off a conservative constituency. That may be the first sensible thing that dipshit has done since he ran for president. Um, so yeah,
yeah.
well,
It's
broken clock
it's
twice a day.
well, it's not the right plan. It's giving people 15 grand a
Well,
year for
but if you're
having
going
some
to give
kids.
money away, at least give it to your side predominantly. I
Yeah,
mean,
and I
good
will
lord, the
say
Republicans can't even do that most of the time.
I will say though that like if you're going to give money away, encouraging actual like reproduction and sustainable population, that's one thing we should maybe do. Like, oh hey, by the way, if you actually have some kids and make it so that we're growing, that's a benefit because that makes another Social Security payor eventually payee, but the Ponzi
Yeah.
scheme needs more
Well, that
inductees.
that's the thing. I mean, I remember having this conversation with some idiot lefties one time. And it's like, you can either be in favor of socialism or population control, but you can't intellectually consistently be in favor of both
Right.
because socialism requires an ever replenishing number of young workers. Because socialism, at the end of the day, is basically a wealth transfer scheme from the young and stupid to the older and politically well connected.
Right.
You know, in theory, if I voted my economic interest, I should be perfectly happy with Obamacare
And
because
oh
you
yeah,
know,
go ahead.
I underpay. I mean, it raised costs for everyone, but I mean, in theory, I pay less for my insurance because younger people pay more for theirs, and you
Yeah,
know, I have to appreciate
Teleco
the.
Teleco Friedman says, "Are you planning to increase your children again?" 5 is the cap, baby. I'm already there. I don't have to do nothing. I don't
Oh, it
have to
caps
do
out at 5? It caps
Yeah.
out at 5? Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, I'm starting to understand your enchantment with it. Well, I
It's
don't
like Mitt
understand
Romney
so much.
wrote me. Look, I take
Yeah.
back every bad thing I've ever said about him.
Oh, no, let's don't
I,
again, a
of
broken
course,
clock.
chat, literally, chat, I am kidding. I am opposed to these sorts of policies
Yeah.
on principle, even though they would benefit me. But
I'm just astonished that the dumbest Republican in the Senate actually thought of something that would actually disproportionately benefit Republicans. That's amazing. I mean,
yeah.
however ill advised it is, that's quite an iteration by Mittens. So
Oh, I do have to mention, guys. I got my approval for my silver play button today. So it's supposed to come in a couple weeks. So there you go. Everybody, I did say I would tell you when I got an update on it. I got my approval key today and I ordered it today. Oh, this is full circle, Ty. This is way off
okay.
subject, but I didn't promise coherency in this stream.
No, that we never do
We had a
because
great
that would be a
talk.
lie.
We had a great talk that actually helped a lot of people out last year, and that was the PPP loan program.
Oh, cool.
And I talked to a couple people from the chat who got their PPP loans and they didn't know they could get them, but because we did a show on it, they got some cash. Guys, I want to let you know because this flew under the radar. As of January 11th, there's another PPP loan
Yeah,
program.
I've actually got to investigate that myself.
There's a second pull. I don't know the qualifications for the second pull, but anyone who did not participate in the first pull gets to qualify under the same terms of the original. And Wells Fargo actually screwed up my application long enough for the program to run out of money on the first one. So I
Oh yeah,
have I have reapplied for this one and I should be plenty able to get it. So if you are a small business, if you are self-employed, if you're an independent contractor, go get your PPP money. It's
yeah,
already budgeted and spent. Go get it and then spend it on something nice for yourself because that's how we make jobs.
yeah. Well, again, we said this and we covered this last year, but if the government's going to shut businesses down, they ought to pay for it.
Yeah.
and that's what's been going on for the last year now. By the way, have you seen Governor Hairdo in California? They're going to get that recall on the ballot. You
Gavin,
know,
get Gavin on the
yeah.
ball. Oh, did
I
you
don't
see?
think I don't think
Look,
Gavin ever got over Kimberly losing Kimberly Guilfoyle. Um,
let's do
you know,
this. We'll do the game called White Pill, Black Pill. So you drop
okay,
a white pill and then I ruin it with a black pill.
okay. What's a white pill?
Gavin Newsom's going to get recalled, or at least get
Okay,
the recall vote.
and you naysay it,
No,
something
I
like that.
I give you terrible news to balance out the funny news.
Okay, okay.
All right. So
So it's
first,
really basically the conversations we normally have.
yes.
Okay.
Kiwi goes live. I want to read his super chat because he sent it a while ago. He said, I found out yesterday that my now former mother hates the song One Night in Bangkok by Murray Head. Where can I find a mother who appreciates 1980s pop songs? Ooh.
Well,
You might have to marry
someone
young.
who was in college in the '80s would be my first thought. That is a classic song, by the way. Was it?
Uh,
Yeah, I get my kicks above the waistline, sunshine.
uh, okay, so you did the Gavin Newsom white pill. Let me give
Okay.
you the black pill.
Okay.
The Secretary of State of Pennsylvania, Kathy Bookvar,
Yeah.
who is at the center of, I hope you remember, Kelly versus Pennsylvania, because
Yep.
they changed the rules and all that stuff. And you remember, of course, Kelly versus Pennsylvania is the case where they're suing the legislature because the legislature didn't actually amend the Constitution in a proper way to allow for the voting scheme that they did.
Mm-hmm.
There was another constitutional amendment, and they didn't follow the process on it. And now that they didn't follow the process on it, the amendment is dead and has to be reinitiated and will not be available until at earliest 2023. And it was to give victims of sexual abuse the ability to sue
Oh,
beyond
I
the
saw
statute
that.
of
That's why she
limitations.
stepped down. That's why. Isn't
Yes.
that purported? Yeah.
So when they did it for the election, it's fine. But when they do it for the victims of child sex abuse and they break the procedure there, the whole thing has to start over.
Hey,
That's my
Pennsylvania,
Yep.
putting
That's
dipshits
my
in
black
charge of
pill.
your state has consequences.
Yeah.
By the way, have you seen that lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania who looks like a '80s wrestler?
He might have been. He's like 300 pounds. He's a monster.
Yeah.
He's also an idiot.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the roids probably got to him, but yeah, he is a complete imbecile. But yeah, Pennsylvania, putting idiots in charge of your state, bad idea. Bad
Yeah.
idea.
You
Um,
you get what you deserve.
well, it's going to be interesting to see the governor's races over the next 2 to 4 years. It'll be very interesting because if you want to be governor of a state, particularly a blue state, this is your opportunity. You know, use the same tactics that the Democrats used against Trump to blame the governor for every bad thing that happened. Except the big difference is in the blue states, the governors are largely responsible for it. So
Yep.
uh,
RZEQDW says, in the past week, for reasons I don't understand, everyone in my social group turned into massive mask fey guts overnight. Fey guts.
Fey guts, yes,
That is
yes,
not the F slur. That is the guts of fey creatures like
yes,
pixies,
and
nymphs,
like
and
elves and
dryads.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what was the first part? Mask.
Masks.
Well, again, the Branch Covidians will not give up their vestments, guys.
Yeah.
You know, it has become a religion. By the way, I love the sanctimony of being able to say, "I've had COVID." When I nance about without a mask, it's at least I got something useful out of that.
And he says,
Um,
now I am bored and sad and alone again with nothing to do and nobody to do it with. Hey man, come up to the compound here. Come hang out with me.
yeah,
Bad
try
vibes.
harder, try harder to find something to do or someone to hang out with. You'll find them.
Well, if the only he's he's in an area of Texas that I particularly like. The only admission fee for coming to the compound is you better bring me some barbecue. Uh,
Okay, I'm missing something. The compound. What,
my house. Uh, just come up
in
to my house.
Texas?
No, here.
Oh, you said he was in Texas.
Yeah, he needs to come
Oh,
up
you're
and visit.
inviting him to. Yeah, I got you. Okay.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
he
I hear
needs
it's
to.
nice and warm this time of year in Minnesota.
Okay, so true story. Every year, Minnesota has a week in January that is cocoitus, right? It is the bottom 3 levels of hell, chilled by the wings of Lucifer as he flaps them and freezes the lake. For 1 week every January. This January was magnificent. We didn't even get close to that.
Really?
However, next week, actually starting tomorrow, the
That's when it
high
comes.
the high is 0 tomorrow. Uh
Does that
and
include wind chill, or is that just
no,
the ambient
that's
temperature?
that's the air temp. That's not wind chill. The high is 0, the low is -18.
Oh my
And
goodness. So basically you can suffer from frostbite by just simply exposing your skin
yeah, when I
outside.
pee outside, it's dangerous now. Um
Yeah, yeah. You put an eye out with
it's
that.
a it's a week straight of this. It's a
Mm.
week straight of these temperatures that are like, I think the highest it gets is the high is 2 degrees for a week.
I'll tell you, the coldest I've ever been was early in my career. It's actually the second business deal sale I ever handled.
Uh-huh.
It was $10 million deal, which was huge to me at that time. Still pretty big now. But anyway, I had to we had to fly to Chicago to GE Capital's law firm's headquarters, and it was like February the 1st, or early February, and the wind coming off the lake because they were on the shore of the lake there.
Mhm.
I mean, it would cut through you. It was just the
Yeah,
most brutal.
you're from Texas, so it's probably 45 degrees.
Probably, yeah, yeah, probably so. That's fair.
Oh, man,
Although you get out to Midland, some of those places, it can get it can get quite frigid.
the,
Um,
uh the coldest I've ever been was in college. I went to college in Marshall, Minnesota, and it is flat. There are no trees, there are no
oh,
hills, there is nothing.
so wind.
And the first semester I was there, the lunchroom burned down, the whole cafeteria burned down, and the student center was all full of smoke. So they had to move all of that stuff down to the gym area. They reappropriated a room and built a kitchen and everything. We had like a 6-week delay while they scrambled and got everything done. And they built what we lovingly called the rape tunnel. This is a sheet metal tunnel, and if you can imagine, this thing is about 200 yards long, but
Okay,
with a Z in the middle and no
okay.
doors. So, so
Oh my
you've got
goodness.
you've got like a
So
hundred
you've got
yards.
that.
You got 100 yards of sheet metal tunnel that's big enough for like maybe 3 people across, right? And then you've got about a 10 to 20 yard jaunt in the middle, and then you've got another 100 yards, and there's no door. So, like,
So
if
if you're in that middle part, no one can see you.
no one can see you, and
Any particular reason for that?
they wanted to
Were
give
they
people shelter from snow and rain to walk to the building.
Well, I mean, but why the zigzag? I mean, were
I
they
don't
going
know.
around some obstacle or something? Yeah.
No, there was no
That's
obstacle. It was flat, Ty. It's in Marshall, Minnesota. There aren't obstacles. There's nothing there at all.
yeah, well,
So, but the
it's,
best part is the wind on certain days would come
ooh.
right into that tunnel. And I mean, it would be, first of all, the wind's blowing like 70 miles an hour, it seems. I don't know how fast because there's no
And
trees
that
to stop
tunnel
it.
and that tunnel just compressed it.
Yeah. And you're just sitting
Oh
there and you're
god.
like, son of a bitch. It's like -25 and the wind is coming through and you wanted to die. It was awful. Awful,
Yeah,
awful, awful.
I think Texas and Minnesota, we have our extremes on completely opposite sides. I mean, you know, August in Texas is when it's real fun down here. That's when the
Oh
pavement
God.
softens.
I went,
You know?
I went down there in July for a family thing one time, and it was when you guys had a streak of 44 days where the temperature didn't go below 100 degrees.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I flew in one of those little prop jobs from Dallas to Tyler.
Oh, you took the puddle jumper.
And the air conditioner broke. So they
Ooh.
sat us on the tarmac for 45 minutes in Dallas trying to fix the air conditioner. It's like, just take off. Just
Yeah,
take
yeah.
off.
It's cold up there. It's cold up. Go up there, up there.
It's a 28-minute flight or whatever, but we sat on the tarmac for 45 minutes baking. It had to be 130 in that stupid
You know,
plane. God, it was awful.
I gotta say, I used to not be a fan of small aircraft, but I really like that flight. If
You
I go anywhere, I'll hop it in Tyler. You know, my house is 5 miles from the airport, and it's much,
I mean,
compliance is much easier. But
I guess it's nice if you don't have to drive through Dallas, but it takes
oh
just
yeah,
as long to go to the airport, get on the plane, fly to Dallas as it does to drive to Dallas.
granted, but you don't have to drive, and you
That's
don't have
true.
to park, and you don't have to schlep, your gear all over the place. But no, we just when I fly anywhere, I take it right out of Tyler. I forgot the planes are basically you've got a row of one seat, and then you've got two seats on the other row. I mean, so
Yeah,
these are not huge planes, double prop jobs typically, But yeah,
they're awful. I stand up, I have to hunch over.
well,
Uh,
yeah,
it's terrible. Okay, bad vibes.
it feeds my soul when you tall people have to suffer like that. I gotta say.
Yeah, never fly United. Uh, Bad Vibe says, Ty, I'm just busting your chops. I'm impressed with Lacey, and she strikes me as the opponents won't see coming. She looks like the kind of individual that lives, speak softly, and carry a big stick. Well,
Yeah, I think.
replace stick with small pistol, and I think you got it.
Yeah, yeah, I think. Yeah, I think especially once she gets some experience and all that. Like a lot of young attorneys, of course, she'll jump in with both feet, and you have to kind of go, okay, but nah, she's gonna be good.
Music and Fiction says, I'm going to get myself some cocaine, some methamphetamine, some Bruce juice, maybe even that stuff that Jordan Peterson weirdo took. Anything to keep me awake and alive. I'm going to be wired. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson. He's been coming out with more details, hasn't he, on his drug addiction thing?
I don't know. I stopped paying attention to it. I
Yeah, it's
was
like
like,
Jordan, stop sharing, buddy.
yeah,
Just
some
stop
things
sharing.
we got that you fell into addiction when your wife was dying or whatever. It's okay.
Yeah,
We
it's
forgive
okay.
you.
Yeah,
We forgive
yeah,
you. Just stop eating the pills, but don't tell us about it anymore.
yeah,
Uh, the Every Game Played says Repubs need to also focus on state and local school boards and other unelected positions. That's where Dems have the most power. Republicans still have power in state legislatures and can do like DeSantis is doing in Florida. Yeah,
hmm
get a Republican governor with a spine. Like find
yeah,
him.
yeah. DeSantis is really knocking it out of the park. I
Yep.
can't say enough good things about him.
Ken Paxton is making he's making a bid for governor.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah, could be. I mean, yeah. Of course, Paxton litigated against Obama. God, I can't remember how many lawsuits he
like
filed, but
56 or something.
yeah, he's got. His wife actually had a song about it. Well, when Brian got sworn in for the Senate, I went down there and she performed the song, and the refrain was, "And my husband sued Obama so many times." She's got a beautiful voice, actually. Uh,
I mean, he kicked Biden's, he kicked the DOJ's ass or whatever
yeah,
on that first one on the executive order stopping deportations. So that was great. He needs to just keep it up. I think Ken Paxton should be the thorn in the side of the Biden administration.
I'm pretty sure he's already got that position staked out.
Yeah. Well, of course,
So,
maybe he doesn't want to do that because he's got that Fed investigation going, and that thing's going to
yeah,
intensify on him.
yeah, but he's a pretty smart guy, so I think he'll do very well. But yeah, DeSantis is good. Paxton is doing good on the legal fronts. All the red states ought to be looking at the Florida legislation, and we should all be passing it
Yep.
in our own versions of it. Take these bastards down. I mean, that's that's the way you do it. give the 200 federal judges that Trump appointed an opportunity to rule in our favor for a change.
Yep.
You know, what really would feed my soul would be for the Florida law to be upheld on appeal as
Yeah.
not being inconsistent with Section 230, and the Supreme Court going, nah, we're not going to grant cert.
That would be funny.
That would just be, yeah, that would be sweet.
Bad
Um,
Vibe says, "Look, I get threats to be unpersoned every day from intoxicated individuals to my face. How the funk can congressmen not handle long distance ones while having security? I don't know. Like
Politicians are cowards as a general rule. I mean, I think that's part of it. You know,
yeah, these guys, guys and ladies, like the they're like, well, this is
if
Rashida Tlaib. She's like, well, I had a credible death threat. It's like they
oh,
investigated him. I'm like,
stop being such a drama queen, you moron.
that doesn't actually make it credible.
No,
You know who had a credible death threat? I guess that Gabby Giffords chick did.
yeah, that was, yeah,
And
that was
then subsequently, the Republicans who that guy shot
mhm.
at, who just happened to not
that
hit any of
Bernie,
them.
that Bernie bro. No, the guy that shot Steve Scalise.
Or yeah,
Uh,
he shot Steve Scalise, but did
uh-huh.
Steve lived right? Like he was
Yeah,
okay,
but
and then
it was quite a struggle for him. Yeah, the guy was a Bernie bro, and we don't hear much about that. Um,
look, we don't need to talk about that. Squishy
yeah,
Hunter says, one more time, those who would undermine the U.S. Constitution and the Republic must be destroyed. I hear you,
I
buddy.
think we should consider that. Yes, we shouldn't rule it out. At least.
Nunya Biz says the reason for putting this story out is to cause an already angry segment of the public to react with violence. They'll act as another catalyst to further curtail on the freedoms of Americans. Patriot Act 2.0.
Um, you know, you can't rule that out, but I think you're giving them too much credit. I think they're just spiking the football,
Yeah, I think
and
so too.
we're not going to do that. I mean, we got we're not that stupid as a general rule. Um, I think that what happened at the Capitol was a very small subset, of the
Well,
of all the people that were there, and you
I
know,
think there's some interesting indications here. In the article, it does this. This is great. Here's the opening of this art. Seriously, Molly Ball, who wrote this, wrote a fantastic article. I have to give her
mhm,
praise. But
mhm,
here we go. A weird thing happened right after the November 3rd election. Nothing. That's the first line. Beautiful. The nation was braced for chaos. Liberal groups had vowed to take to the streets, planning hundreds of protests across the city. Right wing militias were girding for battle. In a poll before Election Day, 75% of Americans
yeah,
voiced concern about violence. Notice, and when you go through the article, what's the missing ingredient? Because we know that right wing militias actually took to the streets. They did. They showed up in DC, they showed up all
no
across the
violence.
country. The missing ingredient was the liberal groups.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
what's
yeah. We were all afraid of liberal groups rioting.
what's
No one
amazing
was.
is that the liberal groups rioting without the right-wing militias still descended into violence all throughout 2020.
Yeah.
But
Well, and have been continuing on since the election. Portland continues its nonstop plunge into being a complete shithole.
well, they're trying
Which
to be best shithole.
yeah, I'm totally in favor of blue city of them rioting in blue cities. You know, I want the denizens of those cities to keep getting a good solid dose of what they keep voting for.
Right.
You know,
But
um,
I want to go back to this because in spiking the football, and this is why I want to do a full breakdown of this article.
yeah, I think it'd be very instructive to
In
do that.
spiking the football, she reveals the missing component where everyone was expecting violence because the right and the left were supposed to go out and commit violence against each other. But without the left, there was no violence. But the entirety of 2020, the right was absent and the left still engaged in violence. She's
Well, yeah,
it's an amazing admission, and I don't think she even knows she made it.
you know, all kidding aside, I got to think there's a lot of people not on the left. I mean, not real happy with that article, because you know For one thing, we can now shut up about crazy conspiracy theories because they just admitted it.
Yeah.
I can't believe that big tech is happy with that article.
I
Uh,
mean, the fact that they admit to going literally to dinner with Mark Zuckerberg and
mhm.
and Jack Dorsey. You guys can do that, right? I mean, I can. I've got my lawyer YouTuber pass. I can go to Zuck's house tomorrow. But these people had access directly to Mark Zuckerberg
Mhm.
and Jack Dorsey to sit down and lobby them over dinner.
In 4 years, if the Republicans take both houses of Congress and the presidency, there will be no reason whatsoever for them not to nuke big tech.
Yes.
With I mean, absolutely nuke them till they glow and then shoot them in the dark. And if they don't do that, then they're worthless. Um, because big tech is lined up on the other side. And by the way, for liberals, one of the stupidest things you can do is say, that's really sleazy, but since the result is something I like, I'm okay with it. That is the dumbest thing you can do. But then if you weren't idiots, you wouldn't be liberals. So I guess there's that.
Uh,
You know,
Jack of the Dead says, I had the fantastic idea to start replacing my kitchen faucet at about 9 p.m. Thanks for staying up with me as I'm not going to sleep until I loosen these damn nuts that have rusted onto the bolts. Also, Ty, hi from Henderson.
oh, hey, I used to have a very big client there in Henderson.
Uh,
That's where Sadler Smokehouse
oh,
is.
okay.
It's now
Yeah.
it's now a Hormel company now. But
Uh, Lone Wolf Otaku says, I was born and raised in Texas, but I love that kind of cold weather. It rarely gets below 35 here. And I don't love it at all. I don't want it. You can have it. Take it. Take it.
take it, baby. No,
Uh,
sorry.
Robert Levito says, fun semi fact trailer lots tend to have concrete strips because the landing gear can sink into hot asphalt.
I don't have that hard. I don't find that hard to believe at all. I have seen blacktop, just the raw old top roads. I've seen that stuff
Yeah,
give, and
puddle.
because
You see it.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
I've been walking in Texas and stepped in a puddle of blacktop.
yeah, yeah.
Joshua Vidrian says, "Here's a $20 for you gents tonight. Thank you." In the topic of organizing politically, maybe look into having a show with Ty along with a fellow named John Doyle. Reminds me a lot of Ty, but is a boomer trapped in a Zoomer's body.
Okay, what's a Zoomer?
They're like the ones after millennials,
Oh, okay, okay.
the next group.
Interesting. I've heard some people say that bunch coming up are apparently a lot more conservative than.
Yeah,
Is there any
there's
truth to that, or
maybe. I mean, that's what I've heard too. I don't know if it's actually
the
true.
indoctrination has become so ridiculously silly that you have to think that if you've got half a brain and you go through that, you got to come out of that hating them.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, just the idea, like I think back to when I was in college, like just the idea of having someone tell you the audacity that they would tell you what to think in the first place.
oh yeah, yeah.
That was enough to
It,
change
that,
my mind immediately.
well, sure, and it's the definition of illiberal. College is supposed to be where you learn to think, not where you get told what to think by people, frankly, who are too stupid and incompetent to get a real job. Sorry, professors, but that's how I feel.
Well, it's harsh but fair.
Harsh but
Um,
fair, yeah, yeah.
that's what we always aim for here.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
so as for the article, I don't know if there's too much more to hit. We've kind of gotten each other's thoughts. Did you want to say anything else about it?
No, nothing I hadn't already said. I'm really I'm really shocked at the triumphal tone of this thing. To
Oh,
hear these clowns talk, you would think they had a three-fourths majority in both houses of Congress. And it's like you have the barest majority possible, and you're pretending like you're Obama in 2008. So
did
y'all
you
knock yourselves out.
did you see today that Mark Elias, he's the lawyer who defended a ton of the election lawsuits filed by Republicans. He defended them for the Democrats, right?
Mhm.
He filed a lawsuit in New York alleging that machines switched votes in favor of a Republican candidate over a
I didn't
Democrat.
think that was possible.
It was to the credit of the judge did dismiss the case very,
Yeah.
very quickly. But this scumbag has been deriding people for having that position the entire time. And then he actually filed a suit claiming it.
Thanks. From all of us in the profession, thank you for giving people yet another reason to loathe attorneys, you dipshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Medieval says, got accepted to 4 of the 5 law schools I applied to. Hey, congrats,
Hey,
buddy.
congratulations.
Any thoughts
Well
on
done.
SMU, Ty?
Um, when I went there, it was one of the most expensive law schools in the country. Uh, I don't know that that's necessarily the case now. It's still very pricey. They have a great corporate business law uh, program. It's Dallas, so it's a wonderful place to be if you got to be in law school. Um, Big law library, if that matters. I, it was probably as pleasant an experience as you could have in law school when I was there. So
Who's ever
that
been
was
to
good.
a law library?
Well, back in the old days, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, there were these things called books. And
Never heard of them.
what
Never.
was funny? So this really was funny. So Lexus and Westlaw and LexisNexis, which are the two major information services for lawyers for the stream, they gave you free access, free unlimited access to their stuff. Right? It's like hanging
It's
the
like
cocaine.
cocaine, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember the law professors, virtually begging us to go to the law books, go to the law books, and even then we knew that was bullshit. It was like, wait a minute, let me get this straight. You want me to spend an hour hacking around in a book and then shepherdizing it, making sure the case law is good, blah 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 blah. When I can just punch it up on a computer, oh bite me. So we knew even then, the books, the legal profession did computerize very quickly. Um,
The
you know,
you know what's crazy? The level of access you get to Westlaw and Nexus would cost almost more than law school
oh yeah,
if you
absolutely.
just paid for it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I actually used Lexus. Lexus has all kinds of massive coverage of newspapers and magazines and publications, and actually a lot of the initial research for Fistful of Toes came out of my free LexisNexis subscription. Well, because they had like Jane's and the really expensive insider defense industry publications that are just insanely expensive.
Yeah.
Thousands of dollars a year. So yeah, I assume they still do that. But
Yeah. They're not the only guys, just so you know, they're not the only people in the game. There are more than 2. They're just the biggest and generally the
yeah,
best. But Bloomberg Law has a system. Case Text, Fine Law, all these companies. Some are varying levels of free. But I mean, if you
you
want
know,
the
yeah.
the
Go ahead.
real stuff, man, you go Westlaw or Lexus.
Well, in a lot of states, Westlaw is the reporting. I mean, the
Right.
Westlaw site is the report. I would add to the law student. Do yourself a favor and go to each of the law schools you're thinking about attending. Call up the registrar and just say you'd like to audit a class, and they'll accommodate you. You can sit in a couple of law school classes, but get a feel for the campus and the students and that sort of thing, because you're going to be there for 3 long, miserable years. You might as well enjoy it. Well, anybody that actually, I do know one person who liked law school. She graduated number 2 in her class at Texas. So,
I liked
but
aspects of law school, but they were mostly
yeah,
like
but
going to get wings with my law school buddies after
yeah,
law school.
those kind of aspects are going to watch Star Trek when we really should have been prepping for, contracts. Uh,
Going to get wings with friends, watching Star Trek.
yeah,
Nerd.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm so much better now. You know,
Yeah.
I saw a great meme, right? And this hit me right between the eyes because it's like, you know, what I hate about COVID is all the stupid shit I bought while I had it. as all kinds of game supplements that I don't need continue to pour in. You couldn't take my iPad away from me. I was semi delirious. You could have just said, Ty, let me have that. Look up there. Nah, nobody did it. So yeah. Hmm.
Okay, let's move on to this subject. This one won't make you angry. This is HR 127.
Okay. I think I can control myself.
Okay, so you've read this bill.
Yeah. Yeah, I got it right here, actually printed out. So
Okay.
yeah.
So the bill reads to provide for the licensing of firearm and ammunition possession and the registration of firearms, and to prohibit the possession of certain ammunition. Can you?
And to subject gun owners to psychological evaluations by basically witch doctors,
I mean,
psychologists.
that's reasonable, I think.
Yet it reads like the bucket list of the anti-gun loons. I mean, the only thing I didn't see was the so-called. I'd heard rumors they were trying to put like a $200 tax on magazines and crap like that. I didn't see that in there, but yeah, this is this is going to be something. Of course, there's no chance if the courts are even halfway consistent with Heller. There's no chance this
The
gets done.
courts haven't heard a case since
I
Chicago,
know, I know,
since
I
2010,
know.
which was just a rehash of Heller anyway.
Yeah.
That was just Chicago
Well,
saying we see Heller, but we don't think that it applies to us because we're
well,
Chicago.
this is where the hope on my side is that the hundreds of conservative judges appointed by Trump, that where we'll start seeing that weight. I don't know that they get this through the Senate, frankly. Joe Manchin will be lynched by the citizens of West Virginia if he goes along with this. Manchin is kind of a tool, frankly. He's always pretended to be a Republican, but he's basically a Democrat. But he's one of these guys that I
Isn't
don't
he
know,
a
10 years.
Democrat?
Yeah, he is, and he
Okay.
pretends not to be. That's how he
Right.
gets elected in West Virginia.
Yeah.
But I remember about 10 or 12 years ago when Obama wanted to have an assault weapons ban. Manchin was all indignant about, well, I'm fine with hunting rifles, but not these things. Well, guess what, Joe? AR-15s, which are banned by this thing, are the most common and popular gun in the United States. Which, of course, under Heller would mean any restriction would be unlawful. I also like the definition that once again we see cosmetic features being part of the definition of assault weapon.
Right.
Um, I may have told you this, but I actually have it as an abbreviation built into my iPad. I just type it; it'll expand out. It's scary. What the Democrats really mean is that assault rifles are scary looking guns that scare wussy liberals.
Yeah.
Because literally the cosmetic features. But
Yeah,
yeah,
like
this is
having the gun painted black and having a pistol grip.
yeah, yeah. I saw one company. I can't remember. Seems like they were getting around the California law by reintroducing stripper clips like the M1 Garand had, because that felt the California law didn't prohibit them. But yeah, this is what I'm saying. These lunatics are acting like they have got this commanding majority in the Congress, and it's like you guys have a bare majority. And I don't think our rhinos are going to go along with this shit. I really don't. I mean, the rhinos will sell us out on other stuff, but you know,
I hope not. This one. Under the act, the owner of a firearm shall transmit to the Bureau, ATF, the make, model, and serial number of the firearm, the identity of the owner of the firearm, the date the firearm was acquired by the owner, and where the firearm is or will be stored. Here, let me do that. The make, the shooty kind, the model, the big shooty kind, the serial number 123, the identity of the owner of the firearm, I don't remember, the date the firearm was acquired by the owner, when I bought it, and where the firearm is or will be stored. At the bottom of a lake. Go find it.
yeah. Did you see the education requirements for being a gun owner? No less
No.
than 24 hours of training on gun safety.
That's like a half a week of classes.
That's Well, look, I mean, this is a gun control. This is Beta O'Rourke going, hell yeah, we're going to take your guns. Here it is, right here. And any of the surviving Democrats in Congress who are from red areas, I don't see how in the world they could possibly support this
Oh,
if they ever, if
this
they
is
want to be.
great. The Attorney General shall establish and maintain a database of all firearms registered pursuant to this subsection. So they will have immediately at the hands of the attorney general everyone who owns a gun, when they got it, what kind of gun it is, and where they are. So that
Yeah,
if they have to just
I
look,
mean,
if they have to make the population submit, they know who to snipe. That's the
yep.
end of the story.
No, I mean this is complete gun control in one bill. I actually kind of admire it in a twisted sort of
Oh,
way. They
accessible
managed
to
to,
all members of the public.
yeah. Of course, the you know they've tried that before and it had unintended consequences. Because of course, if you tell everyone who has the guns, you're telling everyone who doesn't have guns.
Yeah, there's that.
And
There's
you
also
know
like that guy's got a 50 cal Bushmaster and I really want it. I can eBay that thing for
that's
$900.
that's true too. But I've always been somewhat skeptical of that particular thing because what if he shoots your ass off when you try to go break into his house?
You just wait till you watch him leave. I
I
mean,
guess so. I guess so. But that there were several very clever journalists that decided to publish lists of gun owners in certain states. I guess they had, I don't know how they knew. Anyway, but yeah, when somebody point out, thank you, you've now told the criminals who's not armed, and they'll be, they'll anyway. Yeah,
yeah.
you never know. I don't think this would pass constitutional muster. One of the things you can do is, I think, is a fair test of constitutionality. What if these restrictions were applied to abortion? A made up constitutional right that came out of a case that sounds like it's describing a seance, not an actual,
Well, let's see. Should we do that? You get a psych eval.
you got a psychological evaluation before you can have an
You got a
abortion.
criminal background check.
Yep.
Um,
You've got to pay a licensing fee for each abortion.
a 24 hours of training on the safety hazards of
Yep.
the abortion,
All people who get an abortion will go into a database.
and an
Um,
insurance policy specifically for the abortion.
yeah, that's
Because,
another $800 a year, I think.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean that's the thing. I don't think personally, I don't think the Supreme Court is going to be able to ignore this. If by some insane, I mean, Manchin's a very persuasive guy, but I cannot imagine him surviving in West Virginia if he votes for this shit. I don't even know. They've only got a 5 seat margin in the House of Representatives. I would
Yep.
assume there's got to be at least 5 Democrats from red states, in there going, great. Although, most of them did get cleaned out in the election, but as I like
Let's
to refer to them, Nancy Pelosi's crash test dummies.
Okay, so here's the
Uh,
psych eval. It has to be conducted in compliance with such standards as shall be established by the Attorney General. So he can just make up whatever shit he
make up
wants.
shit. Yeah, yeah. We're just gonna,
Conducted by a licensed psychologist approved by the Attorney General. So not a psychiatrist, not a
gee,
therapist, not a social worker, a
but a
licensed
psychologist, literal witchcraft practitioners.
as deemed necessary by the licensed psychologist involved. The evaluation included a psychological evaluation of other members of the household in which the individual resides.
Yeah.
And as part of the evaluation, the licensed psychologist interviewed any spouse, any former spouse, and at least 2 other persons who are a member of the family of or an associate of the individual to further determine the state of the mental, emotional, and relational stability of the individual in relation to firearms. Psychologists cost what, like $250 to $300 an hour? Like as
Yeah. Yeah.
so you're talking.
And the government's not paying for those evaluations. That's got to be, what do you think, 10 hours easy?
I mean,
Um,
you'd have to imagine that the 2 interviews, the 2 other persons are going to be hour-long interviews,
of course,
right?
wouldn't you like to be the psychologist that reports someone is not qualified to be a gun owner, and the gun owner then, you know,
Yeah.
decides to take, yeah, here it is. I mean, give them credit. They're showing their colors right out of the chute.
Ken Jennings says
And
there's only 173,000 licensed psychologists in the entire country.
oh,
Oh
good
yeah.
lord,
They're
yeah.
getting into, I don't know if there even is a psychologist who practices out here in my town. If there is, they're like a visiting one who comes like, every a couple days out of the week. or
I
whatever.
picture the psychologist in your town being like the one on Groundhog Day. You remember? I have an alcoholic now.
Yeah.
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 Let's meet tomorrow.
This is this would cost, yeah, it's got to be basically a couple $1,000s just in psychiatric or psychologist interviews alone. Plus they
It's
have to be approved by the attorney general, and they'll probably develop a special rate for this kind of process. Cuz that's what happens when a government license is needed, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. That the price always goes down.
yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean that's yeah. I mean, here's
I
the thing:
I
every
want to
Republican that runs for office ought to be
if
showing
this
them.
passes, I'm going back to school. I will get my PhD in psychology. Uh,
Yeah.
I can fake my way through psychology. I can make shit
Oh
up all
God,
day too.
yes, absolutely. I actually accumulated like 24 hours of upper division psychology courses when I was in college. And then I went, oh my God, the professors are as crazy as the people I would be treating. I don't like this. Um, that was quite an experience. But yeah, this is, I mean, obviously, this is gun control. This is, what they should have done. They could have simplified it by saying all gun ownership is banned in the United States. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
it would have
well,
achieved the same exact. It would have achieved the same thing and been a lot
almost,
shorter.
almost, unless you're in the top 5% of income earners.
Well, yeah, of course, because they can afford protection.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's and we may have talked about this before, but back in the old days, the elites in this country were allowed to basically be in charge, but they didn't rub the common people's nose in their elitism. In fact, it was considered the height of gaucheness to show off your wealth. We have the crappiest elite class in our nation's history. They're even more incompetent than the buffoons that were running the country right before the Civil War. Um, you know,
yeah,
we had managed to compromise for about 80 years and avoid a massively destructive Civil War. Those clowns couldn't put it together for a year. You know, but no, I mean the elite. Of course, I use the word elite in air quotes because they are not elite in any meaningful sense of the term. But yeah, it's we cannot help but beat these people if we will just fight smart and not give up. I mean, they're idiots. They're idiots from Zuckerberg on down. Zuckerberg is a lottery winner. Somebody was going to steal Facebook from somebody else. It just happened to be him.
yeah.
You know, all these tech lords are lottery winners. They got lucky and they got filthy rich, which is fine. I mean, good for them.
Yeah, they
But
I mean, to be fair, they worked. They did
well,
they
sure,
did something. They just were in a good place to nab it.
exactly.
And they
Somebody
took
was
that
going to sell
opportunity.
IBM an operating system for the IBM PC because IBM did not want to develop their own.
Mhm.
Somebody was going to do it, and whoever did it was going to get filthy rich. Just happened to be Bill Gates. That's fine. Good for you, Bill. Now shut the f up, because I
Yeah,
don't really want to hear from a lottery winner about how to fix society.
right.
And every one of these clowns, when you really look at it, you go, crap, they were just lucky. I
Have
mean,
I made you read Outliers
uh,
yet?
you have mentioned it.
God, you got to
Um,
read that. Bill Gates' story is fascinating.
well, yeah, he was a perfect example of the elites in his own right. He had access to computing resources as a high school student that most large corporations didn't have.
Yeah,
Wealthy parents, wealthy school,
IBM
yada yada yada.
specifically.
Yeah, I mean,
He's coding on IBMs as a high school student
yeah,
when you would have to pay for access to a mainframe computer. It's amazing. Yeah, that
yeah.
that book the book's great.
I mean, guys, we can beat these clowns. We can. These people are stupid enough to give us their entire battle plan published in Time magazine. Can you
Okay.
imagine the Nazis saying, "Okay, we're going to first invade Poland, and here's
Yeah.
running publishing it in the New York Times of the day, saying, here's how we're going to defeat Poland. Then we're going to turn on France, and we're going to go through the Ardennes. I mean, this is the degree of arrogance and stupidity we're dealing with. All we have to do, get rid of the traitors, or at least neutralize them, and smart. You know,
Uh,
I refuse to accept that we can't beat these people. I just
you know what it you know what it doesn't say in here? It doesn't say how much the license costs.
$800, I think. Let's see, or is that the insurance?
That's the insurance, I think.
Yeah. Did you see the criminal penalties for any of these violations?
No.
Minimum sentences of 15 years. You know, you literally get a less sentence if you just shoot somebody than if you get caught with an unlicensed gun. I mean, this is it's crazy.
No, so the 800 a year, guys, is the insurance price.
That's the
Yeah.
firearm insurance that you got to buy,
Here's the
which
thing,
doesn't
though.
exist.
The renewal of the license. You have to renew the license for the first 5 years every year. There's going to be another fee on top of
Yeah.
that. And in the
Well,
case
the
of a
purpose
license,
of all this
and then every
bullshit
3
is
years after that.
what this is a prop. Okay, this is a very complicated way of saying no gun ownership. Just that simple.
Yeah.
Because by the time you jump through all the procedural hoops, you deal with the inevitable expense and lack. I mean, if there are only 173,000 psychologists, they have other duties and other things they do. I mean, you'll be setting appointments years out.
So,
And
Section 921A of such title is amended by inserting after paragraph 29 the following. The term military style weapon means. Okay, let's see what the military.
Scary looking gun that scares
Any
me
of the
to death.
firearms or copies or duplicates of any of the firearms in any caliber known as Norinco, Mitchell, and Polytechnologies automat Kalashnikovs, all models. Action.
They misspelled Kalishnikovs.
Yeah. Action Arms Israeli Military Industries Uzi and Galil, Beretta AR-70, Colt AR-15, Fabrique Nationale, National Finfal, Finlar, and FNC.
FNFAL is how you actually say that.
Well, whatever. I don't.
Yeah,
What am I, a
yeah,
gun?
yeah.
Am I a gun? No. These
Obviously not.
SWD, M10, M11, M11-9, and M12.
Oh, those are little submachine guns. The M11 especially, it's a little tiny thing.
The Steyr AUG, the Intratec Tech 9. What are all the gangsters going to do without their Tech 9s and their Uzis?
Well, you see, they're not going to actually follow the law. That's always been the real problem with gun control, is that the very people that you really actually need to take the guns away don't follow the law. So,
Semi-automatic rifle that has an ability to accept a detachable magazine, doesn't specify size.
Yeah,
like
so
I have
basically all semi-automatic pistols.
No, these are
and
rifles.
Has two of.
Oh, semi-automatic pistols are down here. Yeah, two of. So on the rifles, folding or telescoping stock, pistol grip that protrudes conspicuously beneath the action of the weapon, a bayonet mount, a flash suppressor or threaded barrel to accommodate a flash suppressor, and a grenade launcher. God, I want a grenade launcher so bad.
A semi-automatic version of an automatic firearm.
So I have a Winchester 243. Okay. So now I can put a grenade launcher on that so long as I don't have a folding or telescoping stock.
Can you get grenade launchers? Because I haven't been able to find any, and that really seems like something I ought to put on my AR.
Look, I'll make one. I'll make one if I have to. So semi-auto pistol that has a detachable magazine, at least two of, an ammunition magazine that attaches to the pistol outside of the pistol grip, so an extended mag of any kind.
Yeah. Threaded
barrel, a shroud that is attached to or partially or completely encircles the barrel and that permits the shooter to hold the firearm with the non-trigger hand without being burned. Okay.
Is that a thing?
Oh, I think that's for AR pistols.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
This is to get AR pistols.
Manufactured weight of 50 ounces. That's
also AR pistols.
Yeah.
Semi-automatic version of an automatic firearm. Okay.
And a shotgun.
Semi-auto shotgun with a telescoping stock, pistol grip, fixed magazine capacity in excess of 5 rounds, and an ability to accept a detachable magazine.
Well, I'll say this for the Democrats: they are certainly exposing themselves. I mean, they're not even pretending otherwise. Yeah, how'd you like all those plumbers, the union plumbers and pipe fitters that lost their jobs when they canceled the pipeline?
You get
Let's
what you
see.
deserve.
Well, don't you though? Because who did their union endorse? Let's see. Yeah, it was Biden. And I'm tired of hearing from the rank and file. I am done with this bullshit about, well, the rank and file are okay. No, no. The rank and file can vote those bastards out if they'll just get their shit together. And if they don't, they deserve it. You know, that's my opinion of the FBI too. I don't want to hear about the rank and file of the FBI being all these good guys. I'm sorry. They stood there and watched their leaders try to overturn a presidential election. They are scum, you know. Uh, but yeah, and there's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of that because Biden's declared that's a dirty little secret, right? Anybody that votes Democrat and who is not a wealthy white liberal, they hate you.
Yes.
They hate you. They hate you almost as much as they hate me, you know. And all I got to do is start talking like a liberal and I'd be in the club. You, on the other hand, not so much. So if you are voting Democrat and you are not a wealthy white liberal, you're a moron. Just
Yeah,
for
it's
that reason
actually
alone.
lawyers have an open invitation back to the Democrat Party whenever we want. It's pretty
Yeah.
simple. All we have to do is go in and talk about racial justice, and we will be the MSB, well, the State Bar Association's best friend the next day.
Yeah, that claptrap is so cliched. You know, you could just about, I could have my IT guy write us a script, Nick, to generate what we say. So we don't have to
Yeah.
think about it. Wouldn't that be great? But,
Uh,
you
Versi
know,
says, why can laws, unconstitutional ones, be passed? Shouldn't the Constitution stop the law before even coming into effect?
no
Basically,
mechanism.
basically seems like they could pass anything, then illegally enforce it while fighting the red tape. Yep, they can.
Right. Of course, the remedy is to convince a judge to grant an injunction staying the enforcement of the law until it gets through the system. That's what I would think would happen. I mean, you got to know that all across the country, lawyers are already preparing their briefs to take this down, and they'll find do it in the Fifth Circuit.
Dias Striker
You know,
says, those inclined to raise a glass, my father passed on Friday at 3 p.m. A leader for Sea Scouts, church youth, school sports, and an 8th degree black belt and grandmaster with over 1,500 direct students over 35 years. F cancer.
wow, wow,
To your dad, buddy. Sounds like a
yeah,
good dude.
and to you too. I've been through this. It sucks.
Uh, Nova Zero says, if your reps aren't fighting this thing with the veracity, so as
When
to
everybody starts doing F, what does that mean?
respect.
Ah, cool.
It's from a video game. You'd press F on the keyboard at a funeral to pay respects to the. It's like Call of Duty,
Oh,
like the original Call of
okay,
Duty, I think.
okay.
Um, okay, so if your reps aren't fighting this thing with the veracity, so as bend this into a law that protects Second Amendment so hard that a politician kneels over at the thought of restricting it, you're an idiot. You never expect treason. Timothy,
Yeah, this is a bridge too far even for Romney and Murkowski. Hell, I would think it's a bridge too far even for Collins, um,
it's it,
particularly if Manchin goes, nah, I'm not voting for this because I don't want to be lynched.
but the problem is they have to get a Democrat.
Right,
They
right.
have to get a Democrat to oppose it.
Yeah, I'm kind of conflicted, right? Part of me, of course, would like to see this thing die, and never, get shot down in the Senate. But another part of me wants the Democrats to fight and claw for a year or 6 months or however long to, twist arms, do whatever they got to get the thing passed. And then the Fifth Circuit go, it's unconstitutional.
Yeah.
You know, um, I can't believe that that this thing would pass constitutional muster. I mean, not if any of the past jurisprudence matters at all. And again, I may be you can blackpill me on this one, Nick. I think the Supreme Court knows that they wussed out in the worst possible way by not getting involved in the election. That they basically, threw their credibility over the fence. I don't
If
think they're going. I think they're going to be more aggressive protecting the other rights that they
I
traditionally have protected.
I don't want to black pill that one because I happen to somewhat agree. Um, I
Yeah,
think I think the three justices that Trump appointed that abstained all, like, I'm trying to be charitable here. I think they all actually would have loved to get their teeth on an election case that's maybe never going to come up again. But I think all of them went, this is about the appearance of impropriety of being appointed by this guy and then putting him back in office. And all of them went ahead and did it. And what was interesting, if anybody remembers,
they pushed out.
well, during the Amy Coney Barrett hearings, what's his face, Schumer, I think it was, or Durbin, was trying to get her to promise to recuse herself from any election related lawsuit. And I said, it's not proper for her to promise that recusal. However,
Right.
I would not be surprised at all if she abstains from voting on any election related lawsuit. And turns out
Well,
she
I'm so
abstained.
glad that she has her personal integrity intact. That
Yeah,
gives me such
no,
a warm, fuzzy feeling.
I know,
You know.
but at the same time, like it was not unpredictable that they wouldn't get involved.
No, and we agreed. I mean, they had plenty of rationale, but at the end of the day, the
They
moment
should have.
where courage was needed, they failed, and I
Well,
think they
remember,
know that.
while I say all this, I do still have proudly a video called "The Supreme Court Are Cowards."
Yep, yep, and you were right. I would point out, and I think there's some circumstantial evidence. John Roberts saying, "I will have no part of this ridiculous impeachment charade."
Yeah.
I think that's to me that is a hugely significant deal, right?
Is that what has
Because
happened? Because I haven't actually gotten the story on why Roberts isn't sitting. Did they?
he hasn't said, but
Did the
he's just not going to do
Democrats
it.
invite him?
I think, yeah, I think, or maybe he preempted him and just announced that he wasn't going to have any part of it.
I don't know if
And
they. I don't know if they've even invited. Like, there's a real possibility that the Democrats said that they weren't going to extend the invitation for Roberts to
well,
participate.
they can't constitutionally have an impeachment because Constitution says the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court shall
I know what it.
preside.
I know what it says, but if their theory is he's not president, what happens if they just don't invite the Chief Justice to the impeachment? And who
Well,
stops them?
it certainly strengthens the argument that the impeachment is a sham.
I agree, it
Um,
does.
I think probably it's not going to. It's academic because there's no way they're going to get 16 or was it 17 Republican senators to go along with this.
I think,
Ain't going to happen. But
yeah, I
but
think the only way would be if they brought Mike Lindell to testify on behalf of Trump. I think that could piss off some Republicans enough to do it. I
I
think
don't
it'd be
know.
I
You
think it'd
know,
be funny if they did, but I think and I'm not sure. I'm not saying that that's what would happen, but I think if the Republicans were going to turn, it would be something like that, where Trump
yeah,
brought someone in to testify that so pissed off the Republicans in Congress, it made it into a complete fiasco. I think that might be the one way where they get some really panty wasted Republicans to turn on them. And again, I think I would love nothing more than to have Trump and Mike Lindell get up there and lay out their case.
oh
Like,
yeah,
I think that would
I'd
be
pay money to see that.
I
So Nick,
yeah.
I'm looking here on the Roberts thing. It looks like it was announced by Leahy that Roberts would not be presiding. So it sounds to me like that Roberts just told him, "I'm not going to be part of this."
Yeah, I just wish he'd come out and say it.
Well, he is a wuss of the highest order, so that's probably a bridge too far. Um,
Yeah. And guys,
you know,
I'm not besmirching Mike Lindell's good name here. That's just the guy who would piss off Republicans so much. Like
yeah,
the weaker spined Republicans would be so
yeah.
mad to have the Trump like core team, like Mike Lindell, Lynn Wood, Sidney Powell all show up and they have like a Ouija board session to explain what happened. Like that would
Did you
maybe
see?
actually piss them off so much that they would vote against Trump, even though they said it was unconstitutional already.
Did you see the Newsmax kerfluffle with Lindell a couple days back?
Newsmax made a mistake there, in my
Oh,
opinion.
didn't they throw that ball over the fence? Bob Sellers is they should just fire his stupid ass right now because he's going to piss off their viewers inevitably again and again and again. You know, if I ran a media company and some idiot journalist on my staff pissed off gratuitously my entire audience, he would be gone right then. It'd be like, you
Tomorrow,
just keep walking.
today,
Yeah, yeah,
yesterday,
yeah.
retroactive.
I'd get on the PA system in the office and say, Sellers, just keep walking. Take your ass out the door.
And mail
Yet,
back your last check, you piece of shit.
absolutely. You know, but now to their credit, they had Lindell back on that night. So I can only imagine the firestorm of outrage.
I bet
Because
that
again,
guy got.
oh,
You know what? What's
oh,
funny is
well, he's a pussy to begin with. He is a typical effete, limp wristed, anyway.
I bet
So
those guys. I bet reporters, show hosts, and stuff like that do not really get yelled at though. And I
well, if
bet
they work for me and they antagonize my entire customer base,
I know, but I bet his ass got lit up that night.
well, if it well, first of all, the fact that he's still employed there tells me that they have substandard management at Newsmax, and somewhere OAN is going da 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 da. Da. you know? But that's the thing, we, you know, we're at a point now where we've got to punish these clowns just because we got to punish them, right? The actual damage to the conservative cause was insignificant, but
Well, look,
destroy them where you find them.
a commissar rightfully executes any hint of cowardice or lack of faith to
Absolutely.
bolster the rest of the troops. You don't
Absolutely.
have time for that shit. We're
Nope.
facing the
Nope.
enemy here. In the
But I was
face of heresy, you can have no mercy.
I can't imagine though, because I saw Lindell's at like 9 o'clock at night when he goes back on the show with somebody else. And all he's doing is talking about how much he loves Newsmax. And I'm going, oh my goodness, what did he, you know, because Mike, would you please come back on so that our audience doesn't completely leave us? Well, I don't know. You got to make it worth my while, I would think. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was, but that's it. I mean,
Let's talk about some My Pillow ads running on Newsmax for free
yeah.
with the direct sale option.
Well, when they beclown themselves, they must be destroyed. I mean, it's really just that simple. Yeah, I don't think that I don't think the establishment GOP yet understands just how pissed off the base is
No. No,
because
they
they're
don't.
idiots. They're idiots. They they they're morons and they're arrogant. But I think probably they're going to be finding out over the next year or two because here's the thing: the anger doesn't seem to be subsiding, and of course, this Time magazine article is just going to throw gasoline on it. There might be something to the theory that the one chat guy said that they were trying to trigger a violent outburst because that would work if the shoes were on the other foot.
Yeah.
If Trump had won and there was an article like that, Antifa would be out there in the streets tearing shit up and burning it down. And most people see things through their own prism. One of the worst things in wartime you can do is assume that your enemy will act just like your side would.
Right.
So there might be something to that. Anyway, but yeah, it's going to be a fun couple of years. I'll say that.
So guys who are mentioning Mike Lindell's documentary in the chat, unfortunately, I can't even talk about that documentary on YouTube. Talking about that stuff is verboten. There's no.
They have ways of finding out if you have violated the rules.
Yeah.
Against what do they call it? Not traitorous speech. Subversive. Your subversive
speech and activities.
Yeah.
So you guys, if you want to check it out, go ahead and check it out. Unfortunately, it's not anything that I can talk to. That is That is way too close to
Yes.
YouTube's current terms of service.
Somebody in the chat brought up that little shit David Hogg, who's going to launch a pillow company. He actually tweeted out,
I hope it's
you
called
know,
Pillow Biters.
uh, you think? He tweeted out, need a recommendation for a union shop that'll make the pillow. And it's like, oh boy, son, you're going to find out.
That's going to be an expensive pillow.
Does that kid not have the most punchable face?
If he puts
Yeah.
mouth guards on the pillow, like, bite
Yeah.
guards.
Well, he definitely ain't pitching, but that
Timothy Reaper says, have you two seen the FBI's criminal case against Brian McCreary? I think Emily Eckert was a bit distracted and uploaded the wrong picture. That is you haven't seen this, have you?
No, I don't know. It doesn't sound familiar.
Hold on. This is, God, I hope I can find the picture real quick.
How can I see it?
I'm gonna pull it up on stream.
Okay.
I've got this. Do I have it on Twitter? Hold on. I just have to find where I have it. I think I retweeted this guy earlier, so yep. We got it. Copy image address. Go. Okay, so this is an inline photo in the criminal complaint, okay? So that's what you'll be looking at. Oh, hold on. Here we go. I'm pulling it up now. It'll take a couple seconds for the stream to catch up for you. But if you've got the stream pulled up, you should be able to see it.
It's going to show up on the stream?
Right over the chat.
Okay.
On the stream, though. There it is.
Okay. I don't see nothing.
Are you on the stream itself?
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
The YouTube broadcast, not on...
No, I'm on the link that you sent me. So go to YouTube and...
Yeah, go to YouTube and type in Ricada Law. You'll find it.
You're not gonna, this isn't gonna be that video game. I mean, you're not.
No, this is the
Okay.
The QAnon shaman, right? Was arrested, and then a guy who was for storming the Capitol, and then there's a guy next to him who is also arrested. His name is Brian McCreary. He's been criminally charged.
Yeah. Okay. The guy with the
arrow over his head.
Okay.
Right. Look at the photo behind the QAnon shaman.
What the hell? What is that? Hold on. My browser is not cooperating. What is that?
Hold on. I'm trying to make it bigger.
I'm not sure I want you to.
That's
that portrait behind him.
Yes. Yes, here.
Yeah.
We'll zoom in on the portrait here.
Hold on.
I'm dying.
Is it gonna update
I made it bigger.
Yeah, okay.
That's about as big as I can make it. But
I'm not seeing anything different.
You
yet.
see?
Oh, you know what? Never mind. I'm sorry. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh my goodness, that can't. Now that's not in the Capitol.
That's not in the Capitol. No, someone photoshopped. Someone photoshopped that in, and then the dumb prosecutor or FBI agent or whoever grabbed a random doctored photo online
off the interwebs.
Then, by the way, McCreary, they should argue that insufficient probable cause. He should get his entire case dismissed.
Yeah, it's a criminal complaint, right?
Yes.
Oh,
the affiant has alleged that these are true and correct. Your Honor, this image is doctored. They can't prove
doctored. This clown on the other side apparently just pulled this off the interwebs.
Yeah. No, so
Oh
this
my
image was
goodness.
doctored. This is not sufficient evidence that my client was actually physically present at the Capitol. We request this case to be dismissed. And in my experience, I mean, not in federal criminal court, but in state criminal court, the prosecution has one shot at that criminal complaint. They don't get to revise it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it makes sense because, God, that would be funny. And even if they could revise it, do you revise it and call attention to your incompetence, or do you just
I
put
mean,
your
I
head
think
down and hope for the best?
I think his attorney should file an immediate motion for dismissal and say that is clearly a doctored image until the state can substantiate that that picture is actually on the wall of the U.S. Capitol building.
Since
That is a
you're back to that thing. I mean, if they said it in an affidavit, what were they lying then or they lying now?
I had a
Um,
uh, I had a criminal complaint thrown out. It was for someone who posted a statement online that they said was a terroristic threat, right? And the judge said that what they didn't do, they threatened my client and my client deleted the statement under the threat of arrest for more crimes. And so
okay.
he deleted the statement. And so then the judge ended up throwing out the case because the police didn't actually attach the statement to the criminal
Oh,
complaint. They didn't have
ouch.
a copy of it to prove that it actually existed.
Oh, come on, Judge, just give us our way.
I think they should immediately file a motion to dismiss this case based on an affidavit that is
Oh, you
clearly false
even
with a
if you don't
doctored
think the
image.
court is going to grant it, you file it just to make the other side look like the idiots that they are. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, you
you
do.
know,
But I think there's actually a good chance that he would win the case outright immediately on that. That is
yeah.
grossly incompetent.
Well, and again, it's criminal, right? So the
Yep.
state is held to a super high standard, appropriately so. And did you see one of the guys that died? They actually had a news story saying, prosecutors are just struggling to find a way to charge that guy criminally. They're working hard, but they just can't quite get there. I'm going, wait a minute, when did we start doing show trials?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Well,
I don't
this
know who
whole
his lawyer is, guys. If you know who his lawyer is and has the contact information, I'll gladly send it to him. If he's not already thinking that.
just see completely random. Did you see the investors in Parlor got rid of the CEO and founder?
Yeah, John Matsey. Parler's dead, by the way.
Oh
Parler's a
yeah,
dead
yeah,
platform.
yeah. They're in. Well, these are hedge fund guys, almost certainly. And gee, I wonder what party they voted for.
Oh no, they're Republicans.
Yeah,
Uh here's the thing though. Parler's going to come back with the same moderation package that Twitter has. Like that's what's going to
uh,
happen. Parler's
and
dead.
yeah, yeah. Twitter will win that contest because there's literally no reason to use Parler.
Yep.
Hate to break the news to you clowns, but there's that.
Yeah, no. No,
I should
if they
go
if
ahead.
they adopt the same moderation policies as everyone else, which is basically what they said in their statement, then there's no reason to go to Parler. It's dead.
Yeah.
That's it. So Fediverse, Minds, Gab, one of these alt things. Telegram, just go on Telegram. It's encrypted. Screw everybody.
I was gonna tell the stream. So I did secure those domains. GOPcucks.com, GOPcuck.com, and wussy GOPwussy.com. The reason I haven't done anything with them is I'm working on another business project. Nick's familiar with it. That's taking all of my spare time. But the other project would be actually more useful if we can bring it to fruition.
I
Just got
hope
to
you
find
do.
a. Yeah, I do too. The problem is we keep finding new exposures, and of course, can we do anything about that? I don't know. Plus, I'd like to this business venture. I'd like to site it in an abandoned nuclear missile silo in Texas if I could find one. I think that would
Those
be.
are those are occasionally for sale.
There's one for $400,000 in Kansas, I think.
That seems a
But
little high.
yeah, well, it's a Titan silo. Titan missiles were huge,
Sure.
and yeah, I mean, they were the ones that that the worker dropped the wrench on and caused the fuel tanks to explode, throwing a 9 megaton nuclear warhead about 2 miles. And that was in Arkansas where they had those silos. Yeah.
Yes, I know. I look kind of like John Matsey. I got it. I got it.
Yeah. Just piling on at some point,
I know. I
but
watched one of those things, which it was like it was some crazy properties on HGTV or whatever. And it was a guy who was in the process of converting one of those missile silos into a home.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was pretty
That's
cool.
well, if you want to have the ultimate survivalist place, that's where you go. But what you got to hope is the Russians actually have taken the silos off the targeting list. the, and remember, these are Russians we're talking about, so we're talking about hyper paranoid. And with literally thousands of nuclear warheads, so it's not like they don't have plenty of extras.
Right.
That would be my major concern about trying to ride out a nuclear war in those silos. Is because those now the Titan silos should be pretty well protected, but the old Atlas silos, and of course,
One last thing on this bill. It shall be unlawful for any person to possess a large capacity ammunition feeding device. And
okay.
that is defined as a magazine, belt, drum feed strip, or drum feed strip or similar device that has a capacity of, or that can be readily restored to convert or converted to accept more than 10 rounds of ammunition, but does not
So,
include an attached tubular device designed to accept and capable of operating with only 22 caliber rimfire ammunition.
oh, good. So my 1022 is safe. No, actually, the 1022 has
That's not rimfire, is it?
it is rimfire. I'm trying to remember if it has a tube magazine or if it has a clip, I think,
Yeah.
or I'm sorry, a magazine. Um, Insignificant Nat. Yeah, you're right. Those, you're right. Those, there's no way to harden against a direct hit, but I get what you're saying.
Uh,
Nuclear missile geekery.
Spank Daddy says, not sure if you've been keeping up with Miller versus Becerra, but it's an ongoing case challenging California's assault weapons ban. It's been overseen by Judge Benitez. There's a good chance we might see Freedom Week 2.0 before the California Department of Justice intervenes. That was funny when California was the most free open carry state in the entire nation for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the one Ninth Circuit judge is like an ultra Chad. And
I don't know if Virginia finally did something about this, but Virginia had the easiest concealed carry permits you could get, and because of reciprocity, you know, citizens of other states could get these Virginia permits, and they were a lot less intrusive and difficult to get than even Texas's.
mhm.
Our concealed carry stuff here is ridiculously baroque. I mean, it's not undoable, but it's just needlessly complicated and burdensome. You know, um, I think Virginia was going to do something about that, but yeah, I know as of like September of last year, you could send the state of Virginia something like $50, fill out an online application, and you got a concealed carry permit, and then it would have the effect. And yeah, there's somebody in the chat saying, "Yep, I have a VA." Does anybody know if those permits are still available?
Man.
Um,
Unfortunately, Minnesota, I don't think has reciprocity with Virginia. We don't with Texas, which is annoying as hell.
yeah, yeah, that's needless.
It's
Yeah, the president
amazing.
couldn't get everything done, but I really wish they had done something on that.
It's amazing that reciprocity works for literally every other license you can have. Well, except for a
Mhm.
law license. Uh,
Yes, but that's because we control the profession.
right.
We don't want it to be too easy for competitors to come into the space.
And to be fair, practicing law in a different state is vastly different, whereas shooting in another state is the same thing.
Yeah, Carrie had to take the Texas bar exam. She's licensed in Missouri and Colorado,
Yeah.
and um, so she had to take it, and then it took forever to get the results. Blah blah blah.
Uh,
Texas has reciprocity with everyone else. That makes sense, actually.
I don't think we
Uh,
have, yeah, not Minnesota,
well,
though, I don't
Texas
think.
has reciprocity. That doesn't mean that Minnesota. In other words, Texas can recognize Minnesota's
No, because if
permit.
Texas did that, Minnesota would recognize Texas's permit. That's
Huh.
our thing. For some reason, they don't recognize it. It's a weird. Maybe they changed it, but last I checked, they don't. Bad Vibe says, Nick, you can get the revolver 4mm grenade launcher with a tax stamp.
Four
I think
millimeter.
it means 40.
Oh, okay, good.
God, I want one.
That's a, yeah, I do too.
Although Breck in the chat was saying that there's no explosive ammunition available for him. You can
Well,
only get
oh,
smokes, flares, and dummies.
I'm pretty sure though, if you had the casings and innards for the smoke round, you could probably
Well,
find a way to,
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Dove
yeah,
and Death says, do you think Biden and the Dems would just pack the court and to get their laws passed? Court packing was something they wouldn't answer during the debates. Tom Cotton tried to get him to put some votes down on paper for court packing today, and then they realized that they didn't have to take that vote, so they avoided it.
yeah.
So
That is actually very unpopular with a significant swath of the American people, and you got to imagine if Manchin and Sinema, who is a surprising uh, kind of independent thought person, but anyway, Manchin and Sinema came out and said, no, we're not going to get rid of the filibuster, and our minds aren't even subject to change on this. You got to assume they would also dig in on the court packing, and again, I don't see our rhinos supporting that.
yeah.
That's a bridge too far even for Mitt Romney.
Well, it's getting late, so what I want to do is go ahead
Yeah,
and hit the rest of the chats now, so
yeah.
so
Let's.
we can wrap up, because I know you're tired. I know I've got an early morning, and I've still got a little bit. I'm going to do a little bit of Twitch tonight, but probably not too much. But we want to make sure and get us to our respective sleep.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
The Lorax says, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. Like this stream or I'll break your knees. Okay. Sounds good.
Can't argue with that.
Xander's Rand says, Ty, I am disappointed that you didn't use a sword to knight her like the queen would. Also, if this subject didn't come up yet, Lee said something about your wife knowing the drill on GameStop. Ty, did you get Doug's leather book?
Doug's leather book.
He did a leather-bound Earthworm Jim too.
Oh, I probably not. I'm really not much of a comic book guy.
I did,
So
so too
yeah,
bad for
yeah.
Ty.
Real quick, I know we're trying to get through this.
Yeah.
You have no idea the temptations of hamming it up on this. There was the first, state your name, you know, where she would say, state your name. But
Yeah.
anyway, and then of course I thought about getting one of those big horned things like the guy in the Capitol building had. We decided to shoot it straight.
Did you did your wife know the drill on GameStop? Did she do anything with GameStop?
She had GameStop before it ever went up, and she net she did okay, but I think she held on to the stock a little bit long, as a lot of people did. But she's
Y'all should have
she's still
listened to
double.
me.
Well, yeah, and
Everybody should listen. Look, if I have heard about it, the run is over.
well, yeah. I mean, once they started clearing those short positions, there's literally nothing to support that stock price except everybody just not selling. Well, come on. I mean, eventually somebody's going to start selling, and then there you go. But it was absolutely glorious though to see a bunch of internet nerds just kill a hedge fund.
It was, but I'm telling you, look, I'll tell you guys this every time. This is a true thing. If I ever come to you and say, guys, I heard about a stock deal and you own that stock, sell it. Sell it
Yeah,
immediately. Get
yeah,
out. Because if I have heard about it, it is too late. The
yeah.
curve is gone. You are going around the curve, through the guardrail, and over the cliff.
I think the net value of my wife's account is almost double what she started with 10 months ago. So, and that's after the GameStop stuff. Actually, I take that back. That was before the GameStop run up. So yeah, she's probably more than double. It's crazy.
The stocks were about the message, not the money. Look, I don't care about the message. Like, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I
Well,
like watching the message, but if I'm investing, it's for the money. If
well, the problem is that when you've got a million people that you're saying everybody hold your stock. If they had done that, I mean, it would have worked. But human nature is going to kick in. Well, I'm going to sell mine. Who will know?
yeah,
And then it begins. But it was a great message while it lasted.
yes. Uh, and I'm sure we're all going to get regulated to shit because of it.
Oh
Wolf,
yeah, exactly. If they had, so they bet on the company's stock going down. Had they won the bet, there would have been no problem. They
yep.
lost the bet, and all of a sudden, it's the worst thing that ever happened to the market. Gosh, that sounds a whole lot like the fixes end, doesn't it, Nick?
It also sounds like they really don't want to admit that Joe Biden presided over the worst stock trading day in 5 years.
I'm pretty sure that's a safe bet too.
Down 700 points, worse than any single day drop in Trump's presidency. With
Well,
less than what, a week in or 2 weeks in office,
well,
he presides over the largest single day dip. Good job, Joe.
how delusional do you have to be to think the economy is going to do better under that clown?
Ty,
I
stop
mean,
it. Ty, it was only because of GameStop that the Dow dropped
oh,
700
oh,
points. How
how did
dare you?
how did GameStop affect the Dow?
The Dow Jones Industrial Average went down
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
700
okay,
points
yeah,
because of
yeah. Because of the
GameStop.
meltdown. Okay,
That's
well,
it has nothing to do with Joe. Stop it, Ty.
okay, okay. Sorry.
Wolfman says, thing is, Ty, we didn't get the 94 ban struck down, which was a copy of the New Jersey assault weapons ban, which is still in effect in New Jersey. Constitution doesn't protect us if we don't put people in power to enforce it. Well,
Well,
we have
and President Trump has done that.
we actually do have a Supreme Court who would, if that case comes up, who would have they have the justices on the court to shut it down without Roberts.
Yeah, and that's assuming that I mean, remember we've got the lower federal courts. We've packed those. So I think if the Supreme, it's going to get struck down, I think, by a lower court, and then the Supreme Court can decide: do we want to hear this case, or just want to let it stand? Either outcome is good for us in that scenario. It'd be better if they'd hear it and rule, but you know,
Yeah.
I
Vine
never have
Nicole
understood the court's reluctance to take on gun stuff. I don't.
well, they're all menstruating at the time they come in every time.
Ah, yes, yeah, that's
Uh
that's a big part of it.
Vine the Cold One says, by the way, congrats on boomering your earlier video. Listen, it's fixed now, but that was frustrating. So I mentioned I did this premiere, Ty, and I did a thing I don't normally do. I messed up in the middle of my recording of the video and I said, I'm just going to edit two parts together cuz I can just cut it here and resume right where I
Nothing
am.
could possibly go wrong with that.
This is the easiest edit in the world. I'll just do that. So I go in there, I put the first clip in, I delete the little part where where it messed up, and I bring in the second clip, and I went in, I made a few other little edits. Everything was easy. And then I render the video and I go to the premiere. Everybody's watching at the same time, and it starts in the middle of the damn video.
Of course it did.
And I'm like, and so then I'm looking, and sure enough, it
No.
because I pulled up my local copy and I'm like, how the hell did this happen? And it had the end of the video and then back to the beginning and then the end again. I'm like, what? I don't know how it's possible that the second clip, which I added later, got moved to the front of the video also.
Maybe accidentally hit a keystroke
I had to
somehow.
have. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the only thing. Like, somehow I did it, but I don't know the mechanism by which it could have happened. It has since been edited out. That edit, the if
this
you watch
time it
the,
really is good and right.
yeah, I did it. I did it in the YouTube editor and actually removed that first couple minutes that was erroneous, and it's all good now. So if you click on the video now, you get it from the beginning.
So
Uh,
leave my man Nick alone about that.
yeah.
I'm sure they'll take that request. They'll
Uh,
give that request all due consideration.
yes. Kathy Trout says, I want to discuss the difference between a young man and an 8-month pregnant woman taking the bar exam. No symphony pain excuse. Look, Kathy, I was not young when I took the bar exam. How dare you? I was in my
Yeah.
early 30s. That's old.
I was late 20s.
Yeah, see, I was way older than you when I took the
Yeah.
bar exam. I
Yeah.
also had 4 children, I think, by the time I took the bar.
Oh, wow.
Austin Heartless says,
I just had the one when I took it.
Austin Heartless says, I skipped an ad when I clicked on the stream. Here's me making up for it. Thank you. Renee Villarreal says, I stand with Bullet. Bullet is not, you should not be standing with Bullet. Bullet is not good. Bullet is bad. The Dark Side Boomer Melissa says, have you heard that Josh is Q? Josh Moon? I hope so. Yeah, I knew that.
Who's Josh?
Josh Moon is the owner of the Kiwi Farms. Well, the co-owner,
okay.
along with Matt Jarbo.
Okay.
Takashi Taylor says, hi, Nick and Ty. Just wanted to say thank you for the show. Had to say goodbye to my 90-year-old grandfather today. Just want to say thanks for the show. Well, I wasn't going to drink any more whiskey, but I gotta.
Well, yeah.
Let's,
people will say things like, well, he had a good life and all that. I've never found that expecting a death makes it any easier. Have you?
No.
It just hurts about the same. Sorry, man.
The only solution is to do what I do and be a sociopath.
That is one way to do it.
Cheney Gerhardt.
You're a lawyer, so of course you're a sociopath. You're saying like that makes you somehow, better or accomplished or something.
No. It's just a reality at this point. Cheney Gearhart says, hey, Nick, I'm 30 and considering law school. Plumbing is a bit hard on my body. Is it worth it at this age? Don't make bad money, but physically draining. Let me do this. If you want to go to law school in your 30s to be a lawyer, go do it. Don't let anybody stop you if that's what you want to do. If you want to go to law school because you're looking for a way to make money starting in your 30s, don't do it.
No, because you're not going to get the big downtown law firm jobs, which is where the money is.
I mean, you can.
I agree.
You can end up having a good practice and making a good living. You can do that, but you shouldn't set out to do that because the odds are stacked against you.
I'd be willing to bet that most even third or fourth year attorneys probably don't make what a decent plumber makes.
Yeah. And unless you're top 5% of your class at a big school and you go directly to a big metro firm and you work 80 hours a week, then you can make a lot. You can start at, $186,000 a year or whatever, or you go clerk for a Supreme Court justice or something. Because again, that's your top 5% of your class at Harvard or Yale or something like that.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do that, if you don't want to practice law, like specifically, you're talking about taking on a lot of debt and having a long payback window.
And 3 years of your life too. And while you can work in the second and third years of law school, most law schools prohibit it in the first year. And that can work is real,
It's like 20 hours a week or less.
Yeah, I did it, but it was, there wasn't that much time to do that extra work. Maybe look at some kind of medical or other interventions to help the physical, pain or whatever from the plumbing. I assume, you've probably thought of that, but
yeah, or expand your plumbing business and take on younger plumbers and you just run the shop.
There you go. Let them crouch down. They're young and
limber. Eddie Mose 1000 says, anyone else noticing Ty looking like Rip Torn tonight?
I think that's a compliment.
Hatches O'Houlihan.
That's horse shit. What was a show that he was on where everything was, that's horse shit?
Is that News Radio? No, he wasn't on News Radio.
No, that was Stephen Root. That was the owner of News Radio.
Yeah,
that was a good show.
That was a funny show. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it? Was an HBO show. but that was his thing. That was his, everything was horse shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he was on Dodgeball, that's what I was quoting.
A glorious movie.
Oh, was it the Gary Shandling show? Was he on the Gary Shandling show?
Might have been, might have been. I can't. I've slept long time. Or Larry Sanders, or yeah, it was one of those kind of shows.
Sure.
Okay, the chat seems to think it was they're torn equally between Larry Sanders and Gary Shandling. How shall we resolve this split, this schism, as it
Well,
were?
someone could go to IMDb and check.
Oh, that'd
Robert
be
Robert Levito
yeah.
says, always nice when Nick has a real lawyer on. Oh, that's nice.
Oh,
That's
that's
nice.
harsh.
Bob Bob
What a
Levito.
where'd the love go?
I don't know. LT Silver says the No Agenda show asserts that Fox is run by Democrats to make conservatives look insane. Yeah, that or LT Siver, not
Well,
Silver. Sorry.
we may have had this conversation, but something like 10 years ago, 6 out of 7 Fox employees voted Democrat. Now, 19 out of 20 at CBS did. So Fox was never a conservative network. What they were willing to do is show both sides. You
Yeah.
know,
Linda
and
Marie says she's watching ads right now, but emailed me the lawyer's info for the Horns man. I mean, I'll email him. It might be like a comedian that you say, hey, you know what would be funny is if you did this act. He might get really pissed off, but what do I care? Is to be like, hey,
I would
file a
say
motion,
book this.
file a motion to dismiss based on this large black man portrait that's definitely not up at the cat, unless
This,
AOC maybe did some redecorating. AG
uh,
Cast says to Ty, as a fellow Texan, does your GOP plan involve removing Dan Crenshaw? Personally, will help with any attempt to
oh,
primary John McCain with an eye patch.
Crenshaw has been disappointing, frankly.
Yeah,
Great story,
a
and of
little
course he has.
myopic, if you ask me.
Yeah, he's very, very much one. Okay, enough of that. I'm not- No, Crenshaw is a statist. Um, he likes the federal government, and we'll see. He's awfully charismatic, but the thing is, remember, I said neutralize, and I picked that word very carefully. It's not necessary to run them out of the party. What we've got to do is just shut them down. So I don't know, but no, I've been disappointed with Crenshaw, frankly.
uh, a Rip Torn answer, Larry Sanders Show, and Defending Your Life. Defending Your Life, actually, every Al Brooks movie is underrated. All of them.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Searching for Comedy in the Muslim World?
No, but I mean,
So,
I'd watch it on the title alone.
yeah, the U.S. government hires Al Brooks to go to India, which is the second largest Muslim population country in the world, to
Yep.
find out what makes them laugh. And in
Um,
India, like
it's too
sarcasm,
easy. I'm just not going to take it.
sarcasm isn't really a thing in India, and it's Al Brooks. So he goes over there
Oh,
and he's doing these drop dead hilarious stand-up acts, and they're all bombing. Nobody's laughing. And he's got this Indian woman who's an assistant, and so he's like has to explain every joke to her, and she's like, "Oh, this is sarcasm." And it's like, "Oh my god." Oh, it's a funny movie.
that's bad when it's really, really funny and he's having to explain it.
Oh
That's
yeah.
harsh.
Well, then of course he crosses the border into Pakistan and he like smokes a bunch of weed with a bunch of Pakistanis and they're all hilarious. Oh god, it was funny. Daniel Schuler,
I would see that based on the title alone. So
it's good. Daniel Schuler says thoughts on Bank of America. Okay, so did you see that Bank of America was transmitting
Good.
transaction data?
Um,
Uh,
depends, I suppose, on whether or not they were required to do it or whether they were just being helpful.
yeah, that's a hard thing because there
Um,
may actually
but you know
be.
what? Why take the chance? How about we all just stop doing business with B of A? You know,
Yeah, maybe.
that would
Maybe.
necessitate abandoning Merrill Lynch, by the way.
Yeah. Mr. Scott J87 says, tell us what you say to Ben Sass staff. Resign.
Oh, good lord. You're an embarrassment. You claim to be a conservative, yet you are lining up with the other side. You scumbag. you know, you backstabbed the president when he campaigned for you. You are the worst kind of vermin. Okay, I think we get the point. Yeah, it really doesn't matter. I mean, don't cuss them and don't threaten them or anything like that. Just be, give your anger scope, um, because all those things I just said are true. He is a weasel of the highest order, and he's one of those pseudo intellectual posers too. Oh, call him the new young John Kerry.
uh, Renee Villarreal says, "We are dealing with grown special ed children." No, that's an insult to special ed children.
Yeah, I was going to
Frankly,
say they don't deserve that
yeah,
comparison. What they do to you?
right. Uh, Eric K says, "Good boomer guest. What's your most controversial opinion?"
No,
Yeah, let's
no.
not do
Let's
that.
skip on a bit.
Whatever you think it is, more. FSDJ.
Yes, it's definitely more than you could possibly imagine it would be.
Look, it involves petroleum jelly and a nuclear warhead. FSDJ Party, thank you for the donation. Anime Moon says, "Hey, Nick, you got any more conspiracy theories for me to get into? Turns out every last one of mine ended up being true. Every last one."
Every last one, yeah.
Oh, I had one. I have a conspiracy theory, and I can't. I've had too much whiskey tonight.
The ancient aliens are always good for a laugh.
No, I have
I
a
don't know if
real
that's a
one. I have one that
conspiracy theory, but
I have one that matters. Okay. I have a conspiracy theory that matters, and I can't think of what it
okay.
is right now. If I come back to it, I'll get it. Anime Moon. If I think of it a different stream, I will tell you. Wasatch Man says, "My state is planning to tax the PPP loan for my business's income." WTF?
You live in a shitty state.
God, I hate these people.
Yeah.
FSDJ Party says, "Brilliant article that protects the deep state, debunks any past or upcoming claims of actual fraud, makes them heroes, and Trump the villain." Well, if you read it at face value, yeah. But you have to understand that that article is part of the information campaign. Like
Yeah,
it's,
and they're preaching to the choir too.
yeah,
Remember that. Um, yeah, no, I think they're spiking the football. I think they're just they liberals can't keep their mouths shut. They can't stop telling you how smart they are. I noticed that actually in the Clinton administration, how they were constantly, patting themselves on the back for how smart they were.
yeah.
That's what this is.
Lazarium says, "This is Miss Hodges. Nate from chat's mommy. Here's your tip for babysitting our incoherent little whiner." Damn.
Nice,
Savage
nice.
chat.
I think that's a golf clap even.
Mulfiard says, "Hey, I'm a 300-pound idiot. I'm down 40, though." Hey, good job,
Hey,
man.
congratulations, man.
Here's the thing about fat jokes. Fat jokes are intended to offend people who will be offended by fat jokes. I don't care if anybody's fat. I care if me calling someone fat gets under their skin, like Jamie Fat Ass Markey, or Fat Monica Rial, because it bothers them. If it doesn't bother you, don't be bothered by it. I know that sounds like a truism, but it is. Tenjin Ken says, "Hi, Ty.
I'm
Congrats."
definitely getting tired because that actually made sense.
Hi, Ty. Congrats on beating COVID. Usually I don't enjoy men other than my father spanking me, but it's 2021. Touche, my dude. Godspeed.
Do what?
He also says, "I should clarify. Yes, you should." This,
Yeah, as soon as possible,
the
actually.
spanking chat was about the last stream where you called them babies and told them to shape up. So,
I was in a bad mood that night. I
it,
apologize to anyone whose feelings I hurt. I meant it,
M,
absolutely, but I could have been a little nicer.
MK1533. And yeah, guys, if you get to 1,000 likes, I will take one more full swig of whiskey. MK153 says, "Zero is baby food. Got to negative 58 Fahrenheit here in the NWT." I don't know what NWT is.
Northwest Territory.
Oh, yeah.
Northwest Territory?
Listen,
Northwest.
last year it got to negative 62 here, and I was
Oh,
outside.
great.
I was outside without a jacket. I was in just a hoodie because when it gets that cold, your body doesn't care. Because the moment you step outside, it starts shutting down, and your body resigns to the fact that you're going to die. So you don't actually mind. So if you have a short distance, you'll be fine.
We did have one time, a long time ago, we had a weird low temperature, and the wind was blowing so hard that with the wind chill factor, if you left exposed skin for like 30 seconds, you would get frostbite. They
Mhm.
were like had public service announcements and everything. That was one time in the last 40 years.
Ty, when I had when it was -62 or whatever, I went to the grocery store, the local one, and it is probably 30 yards from my parking space to the door. So I put my hood up and I got out of my car and I walked to the door and I went to pull my hood down and I couldn't. It was
Was it
frozen.
frozen?
It was
Yeah,
frozen and crusted in the same shape. And I was like, "Ugh, ugh," and I had to wait a minute before it would
it's like
crumple down.
flash freezing.
It was so cold. It was so cold.
Yeah,
I've got the drinks, guys. Just a
human
second.
beings just aren't supposed to live in that kind of cold. I don't think.
Gaku says, "Hey Nick, I know you love 40K, but how do you feel about Warhammer Fantasy? The trailer for the No Total War Warhammer is very hype. Barrett Cavalry. Look, I love the Total War Warhammer games. I read the Sigmar books. I'm not. I like the Sigmar books are great, but I have trouble getting into the Warhammer Fantasy in general. But I love the Total War games. I have the King's editions of both of the previous ones. I'm waiting for them to release the King's edition of Total War Warhammer 3 because I like all the little knick-knacky bullshit they provide. So, I love it. AG Cast says to Ty again, what do you think about Hot Wheels' plan to make Texas a Second Amendment sanctuary? Hot Wheels, I guess, is Greg Abbott. Okay. Wish it
Oh,
wish it would go farther, but curious on how it would work. And while you answer that,
um,
I'm drinking this shot of whiskey.
again, you hope that those hundreds of federal judges that Trump appointed will give us some help. It's all about how the court rules. The court says we can do it, we can do it. If not, there you go.
A fuzzy creature says she also just admitted the liberal groups are part of their mainstream, not leftist, liberal. F name, I name says, GOP won't nuke big tech. They'd use any position of advantage to cut deals for themselves, not for us. Trump would fight for us, though. Well, that's the thing is remolding the
Yeah,
GOP to realize that we want more
yeah,
politicians like
and we're
Trump.
circling back to the neutralizing the rhinos, right? Every one of these black pills, is that the right word?
Yes.
Uh, about the Republicans, every single one of them, just about, is basically the rhinos are going to sabotage it. Okay, granted, we have to neutralize it. That's for any of our battle plans to work well, we've got to neutralize it. And the fact that we're actually having to figure this out now is asinine. We should have known this 10 years ago, but what are you going to do?
Uh, wait. Oren Altera says -60 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit. Celsius is way colder in Northwest Territories than Fahrenheit. Oh, yeah, they do overlap at 40, don't they? At -40. Yeah, so it would be Fahrenheit, but I don't know if that other guy said, I think he said it was 58 Fahrenheit. So
It's freaking cold.
it's, yeah, at that point, it doesn't matter. It's just cold. Red Mage 13 says, did you guys see the articles of Miss How Dare You under investigation for criminal conspiracy? Yes, Greta Thunberg is under
What
investigation.
in what is it, India
Yep.
or someplace?
Yeah. How
Okay.
dare you? Also,
Dang it.
India getting pissed at big tech for stepping over the government in their country. You know, well, shut them down. Take
Oh,
away.
if you're I mean, India is a nominal democracy, so I don't mean it. But if you're in a typical third world shithole, you would not want if you're the leadership group, you're sitting here going, my God, they did this to the president of the United States. I'm shutting them out of my country. I
Thunberg is not under investigation. Her Google
I
Doc
read.
is. Oh well, okay. It's a
Okay,
criminal
now you're getting
probe.
into.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, we get the gist of it. Oh my God.
Yeah, it seems
Stop
seems a
tech
tad.
supporting. Angry Baneling, stop tech supporting the super chat. Uh, Funny Valentine says, think the left would have
Hard to get good help. I'd cut their salaries if I were you.
think the left would have succeeded without COVID. No, I
No,
genuinely don't.
no, and that's part of the whole thing, right? There were 15 or 20 improbable events that all came together perfectly for them, and they barely won. That's
Yeah.
why I don't want to hear any whining about how we're doomed. They got lucky on an absolutely astronomical level, helped in no small part by our idiocy. But here's the thing, you can't count on good luck every time.
Yeah. CJ says, see, Trump and Ty have something in common now. Nobody took either of their devices away when they should have.
Oh,
Sinkala says,
harsh.
Nick, you should have Ty with young Ripa, Eric July, on a show to talk about politics and why we should change culture first before politics. Well, I got to get young Ripa on a, on a message at some point before I can get him on a
Well,
show.
the two things can run in parallel. It's just that I think politics are the more immediate need. I agree that long term culture
What do you
is the way
mean?
you go, but
Give Baca a hey. Is she in the chat? Hey, what's up, Baca? Sinkala says, no, wait. KPMH says, autists are weapons. Discuss. Yes, internet
it sure
autism
can be.
is a weapon. Actually, that was the plot of the finale of Sherlock. The BBC redo of Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch. His sister is like a turbo autist or whatever.
Yeah, that was an interesting episode. Although it pissed me off ferociously that they did bring Moriarty back. They just had a flashback basically.
Torin90 says, as someone who just got into guns and is seeking mental help, this bill is one hell of a way to scare me away from seeking help. Yeah. Yep.
Well, the thing is, the bill doesn't make it optional. The bill compels that.
The thing is, the bill doesn't want you to, they don't want you to get help. They want you to die.
Yeah. I mean,
long story short, they're either you give up your guns or you die, and that's the outcome that they're okay with.
Well, as I said, this bill is theater, basically, because it can be summarized in one sentence. No citizen can own guns. Because I mean, all that bullshit, all that 15, 20 pages of crap, that's what it all distills down to. Fortunately, the court systems are accustomed to those kind of games.
Death Trout says, if Cruz runs for president again, I want to see a campaign sign with the hooded Zodiac picture and a caption that's in the caption, vote for me. Look, if Cruz runs for president, I want to start a super PAC that only buys targeted ads with memes of Zodiacs on them.
So Washington Examiner ran a supposed transcript of Ted's podcast where he said some pretty crappy things about the president. Now, I haven't independently verified whether it's accurate, but the Washington Examiner tends to go conservative. If it's accurate, that's strike two, Ted. I'm just saying.
Noir777 says, if this passed and if a cop finds me without a license, I'd just pop. I'd have a chance to escape the cops.
Well, you'd be looking at 15 years minimum sentence. I mean,
Yeah.
Just saying.
He said I'd only serve an extra 10 years with the pop. I mean, I wouldn't recommend that course of action, but I think that's a real thing when you make the punishment for the minor crime so severe. It'll make a major crime. Yeah. I'm going to go away for 15 years. Yeah, no, thank you. I'll take my chances. Shooting people all the way down to Mexico. Alex Blackfoot says, criminals not following the law, fetch me my smelling salts and fainting couch.
Nice.
Robert Levito says, the closest you can get to a grenade launcher is a 20 millimeter flare launcher for ARs, as far as I know. Skeet Neat says, praise be Sinch, the chaos god of autism. All these simps worshiping gas farts and a giant skeleton when Sinch be dabbing from 2016 to 2020. Lucifer Sinch is kind of the chaos god of autism. Lucifer of Atlanta says, look up Missouri State Bill 39, which nullifies this. Maybe the supremacy clause might mean that the state bill doesn't. Might. That would have to be litigated.
Because, we theoretically have a majority on the court. Who knows?
Yeah. Zero SMSS says, not true. I legally own a 40 millimeter grenade launcher. Sweet. Anime Moon says, HR 127 is the most complicated attempt at self-minecrafting I've seen in my entire 35 years of life.
I'm sorry. Say that again. I zoned out for just a second. What was the beginning of that?
The gun bill is the most complicated attempt at self-minecrafting I've ever seen in 35 years of life. Also, Bill Gates Sr. used to run Planned Parenthood. So there you go.
Not surprising.
Bad Vibe says, The
It's a
pro
pity he didn't actually practice what he advocated.
Come
Sorry, did I
on.
say that out loud?
The problem with mental health requirements, this is bad vibes. Problem with mental health requirements is you can say you are something you aren't, but just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they aren't after you. The problem is proving you aren't crazy.
The bigger
Well,
problem is that psychology is witchcraft.
yeah, and the
I mean,
psychologist can just
it's
decide
it's pure bullshit.
if you
So
have a discretionary discipline at behind whether or not you get to exercise your right, then you could just get what you already have in New York City, for example, where they just don't issue gun licenses. Same with
yeah.
Hawaii. Like you can get a concealed carry license in Hawaii, you just won't because they won't give them. Uh,
Well, back when that's why the shall issue
right.
you know laws came, because states figured out right fast that there were too many city governments that would just not issue them. So yeah.
Hmm. CJ says, what about the scary possibility enough of the rhino/establishment just don't show up and reduce the quorum number enough to get 2/3 for impeachment? That is possible. That is something I've thought about.
Well, but see, here's the thing: that's indistinguishable from them just voting to impeach
Right.
him, right? I mean, you know, I, I
I
think, I think that the, I think that the Senate the Republicans in the Senate are aware of just how pissed off the base is. You've got the five dipshit rhinos. Um, you know, they're always going to be dipshits. Um,
I think the
but
real trick will be just running the trial in a committee. If he's not the
yeah,
president and they don't have the chief justice sitting, then they don't have to have a full vote in front of the Senate. That's U.S. v.
did you
Nixon.
see Trump's lawyers? They did respond to the Democrat request or demand that Trump testify.
Yeah.
It was,
They might as well
God.
have photocopied their middle finger and sent it.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
that was a lawyer middle finger to them.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
R-
That's how I read it.
Red Mage says, Ty, a friend and I talked recently about the same thing you mentioned, people voting Dem and not being a rich liberal. So true. The elite don't give an F about them, and those who believe they do are gullible. Tigatron.
At absolute best, they're gullible.
Tigatron says, since it's officially my birthday, sing me happy birthday as Kermit the Frog. Also, you pronounced my name wrong. It's Tigatron. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tigatron. May you be gay forever. Happy birthday to you. There you go. CJ says they stand with Bullet. Superstitious Oblivious Beast says, when can we expect your VTuber debut? I don't know. Kid Thrival says, hey guys, can the Dems just kick out any member of Congress of every committee whenever they want with a simple majority? Can the same happen in the Senate? Yeah.
Yeah, but of course, the problem is when you lose, payback's a bitch.
Right. If so, how do we stand with a chance with anything? It's just off of committees. And if you start kicking every Republican off of committees, by the way, then the Republicans will just not work with you on anything, is the idea.
Right. Right.
James Colliday says, how do you and Ty deal with frustrations faced when it's clear rulings are biased and political, especially with U.S. judges having to approve their own appeals and clients having to stop international considering switching jurisdictions? No, U.S. judges
Badly would be my response. Deal
U.S.
with it
judges,
badly.
though, U.S. judges don't approve their own appeals. They only have to give permission for interlocutory appeals when there's not a specific rule about it. You have an undeniable right to appeal a final order in the United States. It's actually the UK where you don't have a right to appeal necessarily. So I want to clarify that. But yeah, the same as Ty, badly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's infuriating to an almost insane degree when a judge whiffs something so badly. Because the thing is, we're representing real people, right?
Yep.
This isn't a game, and it's not theoretical. We have to talk to that client, and usually by the time it gets to that point, we've spent a lot of time with this client, and to see a judge just screw them over like that, it's hard to take. I don't like it at all.
Let's see. Robert Levito says, come drive trucks, plumber person. So easy on the body. You can be a fat slob like me.
You know what? All kidding aside, I have a cousin that left. He was a missionary, and he got a commercial license to drive a truck. I think he said $5,000. is what it cost him, and they financed it. And now he's a trucker and doing very well. Got full insurance, nice paycheck. I mean, if that's the kind of lifestyle you like, and I got to admit, sometimes I go, it could be tempting.
Yeah, they make good money, especially if you don't maintain like an expensive house back home. If you
Yeah,
just
you could live anywhere if you're a
right.
trucker. I mean,
Radioactive, you can save a lot of that expense is what I'm talking about. Radioactive Rico Gaming says, "Hey Nick, you should look at the Dems' new SC2 Section 230 bill one of these days. It's hilarious bad, and the author thinks startups are too small to sue." Well, we'll see. Joshua Vidrine says, "Maybe if the Dems pass this ridiculous gun bill, we'll all be branded criminals. They won't have any options other than banding up and using Second Amendment proper." Maybe.
yeah, again, we're back to Democrats being idiots, thinking they can pass a law without triggering a civil war.
K. Shiloh Williams says, "Hey, Ty and Nick, 40K question. How good, bad is playing or playing against 200 plus Imperial Guard infantry with full support, command squads, commissars, and psychers? That's a lot of dice."
Yeah, it is. Imperial Guard can be formidable if you give them all their hardware and stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing, overwhelming numbers. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of dice. That's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's gonna be a long game.
it's great to play a necromancy focused mage with a familiar who raises a bunch of permanent zombies through spells, but you have to roll the dice for all of them. It takes forever.
I had a friend back in second edition 40K. Second edition 40K had something that every infantry combat game needs, and it's why I don't really play a lot of 40K anymore. And that's what we call Overwatch fire. When the other side is moving, you can say, "Stop! I'm firing at you right now."
Right.
And that keeps a lot of really stupid tactics from working. But anyway, this guy is a real sharp kid. We played a game against him and introduced him to Overwatch the hard way. My buddy and we just stomped all over him. But to his credit, he took the beating like a man, and then he learned the tactics. So he played a game later, huge game, like 12-foot table. He must have had 500 Gretchen or goblins with the auto
Yeah.
guns. And the other guy, of course, had no concept of how Overwatch worked. He comes flying over with his jump troop space marines, and all those Gretchen open up. And like you say, it's a lot of dice, but I mean, just blotted them from the sky. He then had a lifted drop. I don't even know if 40K's got that anymore, but it was a thing that would pick up a vehicle and drop it, which would destroy the vehicle and whatever you dropped it on. So he picked up a Land Raider and dropped it on another vehicle full of Space Marine Terminators. Oh, it was that was harsh.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Mr. Scott J87 says, "I voted Libertarian over SAS. P.S. 'Tis my birthday." Hey, cheers, buddy. I've had
points for you because SAS is a piece of shit.
I've had enough liquor. There was a drop in there. Rhinoceros Rex says, "Just look at it this way. Those of us who live where it reaches minus 40 and below, we are setting the genetic path for the future Valhallan Ice Warriors."
Glass half full.
Alman John 1 says, "So from now on, it's best to purchase guns with cash only." Yes. The real General Zod says, "Might as well vote Patriot Party if Republicans are in Democrats' pocket anyway. Change it up for the win." You got to.
Not all Republicans are. Not all Republicans are, and there is no Patriot Party right now.
Let's see. Kermit the Frog says, "Yo, Nick and Ty, remember when we met and I asked you for some legal advice and you both busted out all that lawyer flavor, but at least you didn't charge me a retainer? Yo, Ty, remember the time we was cold lamping at the club?" I don't know what that means.
I'm gonna need context.
Basemaster says, "What is it with the lefties and baby killing? Do they consider it a challenge, or is it some twisted, misplaced sense of being moral? And apparently they are putting Planned Parenthoods in Africa because Biden is going to repeal the Mexico City policy." Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it is their sacred cow.
They're sociopaths. Okay, they're sociopaths. And that's all you really need to know about them.
Silky Johnson says, "For the love of all that's holy, get Ty to Washington, sit him down in front of Congress, and let him go Beast Chad dad mode on all of them. I'd love
It
to
would be
see.
fun
I'd love to see and hear the story. I looked at
until they put the
Romney.
cuffs on me and dragged me off, you know. But yeah, that would be fun.
I looked at Romney. I said, "Son," called him son. Stop being a cuck.
That's
enter,
fair.
enter the name here. Bohemian says, "My country's constitution court ruled our voting laws void 9 months before elections. So now there's a possibility we won't have voting laws before the new house can be voted in, leaving nobody able to make the new rules." Oh, that'd be great.
That would be great.
And then he sent a
Yeah.
follow-up that says meant laws. Phoenix Lord Asserman says, Overwatch has been brought back, although it is altered. I just used it a month ago to destroy a whole squad of assault marines with Dark Reapers. Oh no.
If it's been brought back, I might actually play 40K again, but I can't play a game where stupid tactics prevail. I just can't.
You know what you don't want is to assault jump into Overwatch fire of heavy infantry. You're gonna get just ruined.
I don't know, man. 400 Gretchen with those little auto guns. I mean, just
Yeah.
because one's going to get through.
We can only hit on a 6, but we've got 400 rolls to get one.
And your saving throw is like a 2 or better, but guess what? If I hit you 6 times, statistically, you're going down.
It's a lot of 6s. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. Ty, thanks as always for coming on. And
I always enjoy your show, my friend.
Thanks again for sharing Lacey's ceremony with us. That was a good, fun thing to participate in. So
that was actually, I think, Carrie's idea.
Really?
When we had the staff meeting, Lacey's like, "Yeah, you got to swear me in," but and then I think it was Carrie that said, "Hey, you got to stream that." And I was like, by God, that's a good idea.
Now, is the swearing in ceremony, is that completely a formality, like just for fun?
No,
that's a
actually,
requirement.
I got to sign. I got to sign off on. We didn't do the signing part, but yeah, I sign under oath that I swore her in.
Oh,
and she signs under oath and says he swore me in.
I didn't realize it was official because in Minnesota you have to go stand in front of the stupid Supreme Court, and
you can do that in Texas, but
okay.
But this is an alternative, mainly because Texas is just too unimaginably huge.
Yeah,
for that. So
yeah, I
can't remember who swore me in. I don't even.
I stood in front of 9 dummies, in robes or whatever.
Well, I actually like our Supreme Court, so
ours is relatively okay too.
Yeah. Well, it's 9-0 Republicans. So
yeah, we're not 9-0 Republicans, but I think we do have a pretty good mix. But anyway. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. We'll talk to you soon. I will be doing videos over the weekend, but I don't know about live streams, so we'll see. What's up?
I have a quick announcement. If everything goes according to plan, week after next, we'll be launching a Beard and Harris YouTube channel. We're going to be copying Nick here and doing the short videos about various legal topics and stuff. No politics. I will save that for my own channel one day. But anyway, hopefully Nick will shill it for us when the time.
I mean, I probably will, yeah. but yeah, it'll be I think a more
architect of the strategy.
Yeah, I think it'll be a more like a more straight-laced legal focus is what I'm guessing, rather than like firebrand topics.
Although Carrie has some quite catchy titles already, so
Well, we'll see how it goes then.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll go ahead and I'll make sure to direct people there once it's up. Yes, I will be on Twitch for a limited amount of time tonight, so come hang out. All right, guys. Thanks a bunch. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good night. Peace.
See y'all later.
Peace.